on the side, then you came in here bleeding. What happened?
I know. I must have fucking been flossing too hard.
So you floss in the morning too?
I try to. I'm not good at it. I mean,
I'm looking at you and I'm seeing. I thought, was that red peppers in his fucking teeth?
No.
Did he blow a red guy? What happened to my brother?
I'm gonna have to check when I get home and see if I have to go to the dentist. But
did you cut it?
I must have. I went in the back and it was bleeding a little bit. But I'm fine.
You're as tough as fucking nails. I bleed all the time. Who gives a fuck? Pus, bleed, teeth fall out. Who gives a fuck? What's happening, beautiful people? The Church of What's Happening Now. We're here. Sorry about yesterday. As you people know, I got a colonoscopy. Thank you for all your wishes and for asking and for sending love. And then last night, the fucking guest canceled at like 10 to 6. He was sick. He's been sick for a while. I was gonna get this acting guy, and he coached me through Analyze That. His name is Jimmy DeStefano. He's running the Actors Studio now in Hollywood. He's a fucking great guy I think he's from the island or something. I've known him for like 15 years, and he got sick. So we were left in a bind. I didn't want to give you guys a 50% podcast. I wasn't up to par. The fucking anesthesia. You want me to tell you something, man?
What happened?
I never realized this. Yesterday, they wouldn't let me. Lee drove me down. I want to thank Lee for picking me up at 5:30.
Of course.
Anybody, people always want to pick you up when you get something in your ass. You know what I'm saying? Like if you call somebody and go, I got to go here now, fuck you. No. I got to go to this place. They're going to stick a camera up my ass. No shit. I'll be there at 5:15, Lee was outside ready to laugh and giggle. He had the bloggy with him.
I was going to say, if they would have let us into a podcast, that would have been the number one podcast ever recorded.
Oh, my God. I fucking fainted. I fainted when they put the IV in my hand because I hadn't eaten for 24 hours. I went in there, and I was thinking about it. And it was warm in there, and they put the fucking thing in, and the needle shocked my body. I mean, it didn't even fucking hurt. Just the thought of it. Your mind is a fucked up thing. And just the thought of it gave me... I always go into these skunk sweats. Like I feel sweat all over. It's like a light layer of mist that just comes out of me when I'm about to faint or whatever. I didn't faint. I had Santana on the iPod. But besides that, I got to tell you, man, it wasn't a bad experience at all. I had gone on the internet on like Wednesday or Monday or something and checked out different diets leading up to it and what I should do, and I listened to some of them. But the main thing I didn't listen to was the fear part. People were already saying, that the stuff to drink is terrible. It's amazing when you let people get into your head. Mm-hmm. It's like anything else. It's like being at home for dinner with your family and going, you know what, tonight I'm going to go down to the local thing. I'm going to get on stage and say poetry. Why would you want to do something like that? Don't you know that sucks? Don't you know? And it's so weird how sometimes you let the negative comments affect you, but sometimes you just steam right through it. Like I thought the drink, you have to drink a potion 24 hours before they stick the camera up your asshole because it cleans out your colon. But everybody said the thing was very tough to drink. And I was a little apprehensive because I don't like taste. Like I don't drink milk because of the taste. I don't like vegetables because of the taste. Texture and taste have destroyed me. The Dolce diet is a great diet. I see people losing weight with it all the time. I just don't like a lot of those things. I don't like tofu, the texture of tofu. I don't like a lot of that shit,
Yeah. And even my dad was when I called him and told him, he was like, "Oh, that thing is terrible. It doesn't taste good." And then when I picked you up, you're like, "Eh."
Listen, nothing fucking tastes good, but this was clear. Number one, this was clear, which really helped a lot because I thought it was going to be like milk of fucking magnesia with a weird taste, but it was clear. My wife put 2 packages of Crystal Light in it, lemon lime, and a little bit of water, I think. You're supposed to dilute it. And, guys, I put a straw in it so it only hits the back of your throat. That's what a lot of people said. Make it very cold. And I put the straw back in. I just started chugging it. And every chug, I did it every glass in 3 chugs. And it's crazy because the first time I thought my asshole was just going to blow up and there's going to be blood on the walls and intestines and shit. It didn't happen for about an hour. And then it was like a slow, every 20 minutes I'd have to shit, but I had to be careful because I couldn't like make a laugh or couldn't make everything. It was right there. It was coming right out. It was the whole time. But I got to tell you, I'm happy I did it. I'm happy I did it because it does save lives. And a lot of people reached out and said that, they had a relative who it saved their life. So thank you very much. Last night a lot of people were mad. You said that somebody said to you that you shouldn't treat our fans like that. First of all, if somebody listens to this show and thinks they're a fan of the show, don't listen to the show no more, man. Do me a favor. I don't want no fans. We're a network and we understand each other. last night, Lee and I went to meet with somebody at like 6:30, and the guy wouldn't shut the fuck up. So by the time we realized it was 8 o'clock, it was too late to tweet. But when I got home, I tweeted. I'm sorry if you people made plans around it, but sometimes, the guests, it's. I want to give you guys the best possible podcast I can. So I'm sorry, and we're going to start the week off on the right motherfucking foot, Lee. I got up at 2 in the morning by mistake. I went to pee. I stayed in bed like 30 minutes, and I couldn't do it no more. I got up, made a little coffee. I even hit the pipe this morning. At 3 in the morning outside on my balcony, I was coughing and shit. I'm like, what do the fucking neighbors think?
That you're living like a doctor.
I'm living like a fucking doctor. What happened with you yesterday at the movie theater? You went to see James Brown?
Yeah, which was really freaking amazing.
When did the movie come out? Friday?
I think so. And the theater was empty. It was a 1 o'clock showing, but
it's a 1 o'clock.
It was I one of the first times I had heard about him, but I know you liked him. I know you showed Rogan that one video that one time on his podcast. But I knew his music, but I didn't really know that much about him, so it was really good, and Chadwick Boseman did a great job, that guy. But it's there's something, like, do you have anything about you that you, I hate to use this, I don't like to use this word, but I hate about yourself?
Always.
And it's just
everything.
Yeah. And I've always been, I don't know if it's because I was chubby or what, I think it's just my personality. I don't like confrontation, and I'm not good at standing up for myself. Bullied's overused now. I had bullies, but it wasn't, I think I had a happy childhood. But I don't like when people take advantage or people say something, and I'm always the one in my head, I'm thinking of 8,000 things later that day to say, but I never say it in the moment. So this one guy sat down and was just an asshole making noise with the popcorn. I wish I had said something. But what really got to me was, and I hate that, it stinks that it got to me, but there's a few people on Twitter who, and I see you mess with them, and that's what I would love to do. It's the people who say stuff, I think it's just to piss you off, but like, just said some evil stuff, like when I was just mad that they were sitting, so I tweeted about it, because, I don't know, I'm an idiot. But they're like, get off your fat ass. I'm like, what would you say that to someone in public? Like, it just, that's not part of me at all. And I wanted to say something, but then I didn't want to get into a war with them. This
morning, when I came in here, you said to me, as a joke, we were giggling, you said we should get the earphones with the mouthpiece on it.
Yeah.
And I replied, we're going to be two fat fucks with looking like
two fat astronauts, yeah.
Yeah, two fat fucking astronauts, you know? Did I mean that with malice?
No.
Did I hurt your feelings when I said that?
No.
It's the way people say things.
Yeah.
It's not how you say, it's the way people say things. I'm guilty of it also sometimes without realizing, but you got to understand I'm saying it to you with love as a goof. Sometimes
yeah.
I don't mind fucking around with people. But if I don't know you, don't cross that fucking line.
Right.
Because I never cross it. I was raised never to cross that line, so I would never cross that line. When I first got the longest yard, and I went out on the road after the longest yard, it was the things people said to me were mind-bogglingly. They said things to me that didn't even want me to. I didn't want to go on the road anymore.
They said to you in public?
In public, like to
Holy
be
shit.
cute in front of their girlfriends or to test themselves. Those people I look at and I fucking pray for. When we were in Vegas, somebody made a comment. Some jerk-off got on the line. I remember he got next to me. He goes, "This is the first time I've been close to a Mexican."
Yeah, I remember.
Do you remember that guy? I wanted to smack him in the mouth. But I prayed for him. All you could do as he walks away is say, you know what? I hope you don't run into somebody who doesn't understand.
Yeah.
And that's going to happen for one of those jerk-offs. Those are the people that you walk out of a bar and they're on the floor and their girlfriend's going, "You're an asshole," to the guy, and the guy's bleeding from his mouth and he's passed out. That's that guy.
Yeah.
That's that guy that goes over borders. There's always people that there's a line. There's a line of those are the people that weren't accepted, and they try to be cute in front of their girlfriends. I see it all the time. I see it once a month. I walk out of somewhere. I'm at a comedy club, and there's a circle, and there's a guy on the fucking floor bleeding, and the girlfriend, he didn't say nothing. He didn't mean it. Yes, he did. He thought he was cute, and that's what happens after 10 o'clock. On Twitter, you have this, I don't need to, you don't know what my face looks like.
Yeah.
You know what? If you want to call me out, and I go to your page, and you have a real page, I will look for the reason why you would say something like that. And I will say something and push, and then you'll push back to Joe. You know I love you, okay. But there's people who just get on. I don't understand those people. I don't understand who would wake up in the morning and go, you know what, today I'm going to set up a fake Twitter page, and I'm going to call Dana a bald fuck. I'm going to call Joe Rogan a bald fuck. I'm going to call Diaz a fat fuck. I'm going to call Lee a Jew. I never understood that. Those are the things I don't comprehend.
Yeah.
But that's our society today. There's people who think they're cute. Somebody sent a thread to me the other day from Reddit, and it's amazing. People said that we're misogynists, that I'm a misogynist, that it's the church of what's happening now, but I always talk about the past. The reason why I talk about the past on this show, Lee, the reason why I tell a story every episode is because I feel, I have this thing. I'm very insecure, and growing up I was very insecure. And after my mother, from the ages of 28 to 30, I was a ball of insecurity. And we all are. We don't know what our next move is. We don't know. There's some people who know. But
right.
60% of us, if you're listening to this fucking podcast, you were one of those people that you were a little scared. Maybe you didn't know what you want to do and you were confused. And I was one of those people that was very, very fucking insecure. I think you have it also. You walk into a room. I don't like that feeling. That's what I don't like. Mm-hmm. And after I feel insecure about something, I look at what's going on and I go, you know what? Fuck these motherfuckers. Nobody's better than me in this fucking room. And I tell these stories. I tell the stories about me waking up next to a piece of shit. I tell the stories of me robbing people or me stealing a fucking change jar. You think I like telling those stories? You think anybody else would have the honesty to tell those stories on the air? But I want you to understand that people could change. That is what I talk about in this thing, that we're not fucked up. We're just going through a bad fucking spell. We change. And you evolve as a human being. If you don't, you're a fucking idiot if you don't fucking evolve So, when I see those people on Twitter that send, I don't know if it's an insecurity, I don't know if it's their thing. All you could do is just look up and go, whatever God, Hindu, black, whatever. Just
and that's what I always do. I know everyone else says take the high road, but just like, and not even them personally, but like, okay, I was at the gym and I was at the bench taking stuff out of my bag in front of a locker, and this guy just swooped in and kind of took the locker from me. And it's not a big thing. I just got another locker, but like I wanted to be that guy. I'd be like, hey man, that's my locker. Like that's not even a big thing to say at all. And it probably wouldn't have even been a fight, but it's. I don't like in myself that I don't know if it's shyness or insecure. I don't know what it is, and I don't know exactly what to do to fix it.
Say something.
Oh, it makes me so nervous.
Say something, and you'll get it over with. And don't call the guy an asshole. Just go, excuse me, that's my locker, bro. Or excuse me, sir, can you stop with the popcorn? I'm trying to watch a movie. Yeah,
I would love to. I
don't understand. First off, again, you're at a movie theater. The movie theater's empty. Where do these two jerk-offs sit?
A seat away from me.
Yeah, you understand me? You got to look at those motherfuckers and go, are you fucking retarded? There's a huge theater and you're 2 seats from me. That's what I hate when they go to restaurants, too. You go to a restaurant, the host sits people on top of you. The restaurant's empty. Get these fucking people away from me.
Right.
I want to spread out. Maybe there's 3 of us here, and we're talking about eating pussy and stabbing a bitch, and I got this fucking guy, family of kids next to me. Now we got to sit here like fucking mutes because you don't want the waiter to go from one end to the other. Fuck him. That's his fucking job,
Yeah.
It's, Lee, say something. Say something. I had the same problem. When I first got here, I had the same fucking problem. And I wouldn't say nothing for 2 reasons. I didn't want nobody to think I was a bad guy, and my addiction. I didn't want nobody to fuck up my addiction. And then one day I started talking. And then when I got off the addiction, I started talking, and now they don't like me. But when I open my mouth, it's because I'm protecting myself. I'm not opening my mouth to be a jerk-off. I'm opening my mouth to say, hey, enough.
Yeah.
Whatever the fuck you think you're doing, you're not going to do. I'm not opening my mouth to fight nobody. I'm an old man. I got problems. I've been in prison. I don't want to fight nobody. I don't have time for that shit. But you do have your space in this life, and that's all you have. We were talking earlier about these people now that everybody's taking sides. We live in a society where it's cool to take sides or it's cool to open up your mouth without really knowing what's going the fuck on. Mm-hmm. And I was very scared when I got to LA. I was insecure again. I was a young comic. I wanted to do well. I wanted people to like me. I wanted to be likable. So for years, people said shit, and I didn't say nothing. One night I was at the store, and I walked back there, and some comedian, Wild Willie Parsons, brought me up, and he said something about me. Till this day, I think about it. I should have said something to him. But you know what? Where's Wild Willie Parsons today? He's fucking irrelevant.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really fucking matter what he said or what he didn't fucking say. You know, to this day, I love to fucking punch him in the fucking head, those old-style comics. But you know what? I took the fucking high road.
Yeah.
And I looked at him, and I put it in God's hands, and I'm still here. Where the fuck is he?
Yeah.
What the fuck? What was the last TV show he did? What was the last fucking reality show he did? What was the last anything he fucking did? So, you follow me? When you call somebody out like that, maybe you should think about yourself, what the fuck you're doing. But at least say something. Say something, and it doesn't have to be in a bad way. Just please say something so you make yourself feel better. You know, when I go to the colonoscopy, today I got to drive down to jiu-jitsu. I'm going down to where we were yesterday, to the pier around there on Wilshire, to go to Regan Machado's at 10 o'clock. Ask me if I want to go there. How long you know me? I don't even like driving to the fucking store. But it's time, you know, it's time to get out of your fucking comfort zone.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you have to get, so I'm going to go down there. I also called in for spots at the Comedy Store this week. You know, Tommy got fired from the Comedy Store. It's been a big deal around town. I didn't give a fuck that Tommy got fired or not. You know, I just want to, I know there's something missing from my life. I know that during the week, I only do spots like I'll drop in at Flappers, or on Wednesdays I'll go to the Ha Ha. And not to put the Ha Ha down or to put Flappers down. You know, Bill Burr's at the store, Mark Maron's at the store, Ari's at the store, you know, Sebastian Maniscalco's at the store. There's all these comics, and that's the A-League. And if you want to play in the A-League, that's where I have to go. It's my home. That's where I developed as a comic. That's where I fucked myself up and made myself a man. So I'm going to go back this weekend and do some spots. You know, somebody called me for a weekend fallout, so I'm going to wait today and see. And I just called in for Wednesday and Thursday because I had the podcast and I didn't know about tonight. I might even go down there tonight if I have nothing to do, just to see it, say hello and whatever. Because, you know, I'm not going to sit here and preach going out of your comfort zone and then I don't do it myself. Yeah. And I thought about it yesterday when I hung up with Regan Machado. I go, what am I thinking going down to class down there? And I go, it's time to get out of my fucking comfort zone. I don't have much going on today. I wrote this morning. I'm going to go down there, fucking go to jiu-jitsu, come back, wash my pussy, go to acupuncture, and take it to the park. Yeah. That's my fucking day today.
No, it's you've been on me to go to a class at the gym now, and part of it is that
you're shy. You're shy. You're not fucking. You're not tip top shape.
That's the thing. Like,
you think you're gonna have to leave after 30 minutes? Perfect.
Yeah.
Just walk into the class. If it starts at 8:15, look at the clock and go, if I make it to 8:30 today, I'm good. And then when you go next week, some chick's going to come up to you and go, hey, man, what happened to you last week? Were you okay? And you go, you know, I wasn't in shape. My calf was bothering me. I got a cramp. I didn't drink enough water. Whatever you have to say, but you keep going. Yeah. And you keep trying them. And you may not like it. Hey, I belong to the Y. I've taken Simple Stretch at the Y. I've taken
Simple Stretch.
I've taken all the yogas. I've taken Tai Chi at the Y. I've taken the cardio fit at the Y. I take the spin class at the Y. I've broken it up over the years. I don't go anymore because I like the teachers. Like there was a one spin teacher that her husband was a kickboxer. So half her workout was kicking. And then she put you on the bike and really run your legs. She left. Oh, okay. And then I had the chick who called in here. I forget what her name is off the bat. She was a great yoga teacher. Then she left, you know. So you get accustomed to the teachers. Now I'm dying to go back to the Y to a class. I went Saturday and took Mercy swimming, and my wife did the yoga. Well, I took Mercy swimming. I don't know if I told you about that. What a fucking day that was.
Oh, wow. No, you didn't.
A lot of fucking kids in that goddamn class.
Yeah, it's just my whole personality is to kind of not be seen, I guess. Like I always go to the back of the ellipticals. I'm not the big out there kind of guy. So to go into the class, I wouldn't even know where to stand. It just
you go in the back of the fucking class.
It's stupid things to think about.
And you watch.
But it's
what I do. And as you get better, you move up because then people are coming after you, and they're gonna go to the back of the class, and then you move up, and now they start watching you. It's a fucking evolution, Lee. Yeah. Don't ever be embarrassed about taking care of yourself. Don't ever be embarrassed. You're going to be surprised how many people are going to be very supportive.
Oh, everyone's been great at the gym.
Everybody. Listen, when you're talking about health now and what people going through, everybody wants you to succeed. when you were going to the gym. It's the weirdest fucking thing. You know, you were asking me, man, you're going more and more to jiu-jitsu now. You know what? Everybody wants me to succeed, even though they know I'm fucking horrible. I'm horrible.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. If I don't keep going, this is anything. If I don't keep showing what I talk on this fucking podcast with you is garbage. What I talk on the Rogan podcast is garbage. This is what I truly feel in my heart. So for me to get better at jiu-jitsu, and it's not even about the jiu-jitsu for me. It's about getting healthy. It's about getting, you know, my blood moving. It's about just moving around, sweating, you know, and just getting the fuck out of here. Not having comedy on my mind all the time. I hate when I have comedy on my mind all the time because then nothing gets accomplished. I can't write. I can't do nothing. It's when I'm loose that I can fucking write, you know?
Yeah.
Like last night I tried to write the whole story about the colonoscopy. And there was maybe 2 or 3 funny fucking things. Like they give you pictures of your asshole to take home and look at them in your colon. And you're like, why do I want to look at pictures?
You can bring them in?
No, I didn't bring them in. I'm not taking those out of the house. I think I ripped them up. Why would they give you a picture of your asshole like they show it from the beginning?
Yeah.
And how tight my little asshole's tight. That motherfucker was tight. That thing is waterproof. You can't get a drip of fucking water in there, wind. You know how some roofs have like a little gap? Nothing. You could see it was smeared, like it was spun around, like it knew something was coming in there. It circled that motherfucker.
Well, you can keep it in your wallet, and when people are showing pictures of their kids, you can be like, look at this.
Look at my asshole. I know. look at Lee cracking funnies today, sucker. But no, I tried to write it out last night and think of funny experiences, and there really wasn't nothing funny about it, you know. I mean, but that was funny. They give you pictures of your asshole.
Yeah.
They give you pictures of your colon. They show you where your little thing, because they pulled out 3 little things, but they were all benign. They were nothing. They were just little.
Oh, so you got the results? Is everything fine?
Yeah.
Okay.
They called me today with the thing, but the guy goes, "Nah, there's nothing there." He wanted me to eat a more high fiber diet.
Yeah.
He goes, "I want you to eat a little bit more lettuce." But he goes, "It looks good for a fat guy." He goes, "For a big guy, usually guys your size come in here and they got all that Burger King residue on their asshole and, you know, fish and chips and fucking fast food and nachos and Doritos."
Yeah.
He goes, "You didn't have that." And I told him, "I don't eat fast food." I go, "I really don't eat any fast food at all, you know?"
I'm sure, I don't even know why I'm asking you this, but since I've been eating healthier, I find I'm shitting less. Am I doing something wrong, or should I be... I'm trying to eat more fiber, but like,
What am I, the ass doctor?
I don't know, but I mean, I figure I look at you, I'm like,
well,
you probably takes good shits.
You're eating smaller meals.
Yeah.
So you're not going to take those horse shits that you usually do, Lee.
Okay.
You know,
I was getting worried. Like, it's just like
if
not
you're
that
eating
much.
fucking 8 ounces of food instead of, what were you eating before? 92 pounds of food.
Yeah.
It condenses. You're going to be on the toilet for a while. But
Yeah.
you cut your diet in half. So obviously you don't have to sit, you know, you cut all your time in half. You don't have to sit there. God forbid we talk about shit on the podcast. People get mad at us. Don't talk about it. It was a beautiful podcast that you brought up a fart or something. What are you going to do? It's a way of life. Well, you don't know. You don't fart, cocksucker. Lee Syatt looking good this fucking morning on a Tuesday morning. Again, we're sorry about yesterday. I know you people were sitting around going, "Joey, it's fucking Monday. What's crack-a-lackin' here? We can't get rid of the devil." Yesterday we couldn't do the podcast in the morning.
No.
That was wild, man. And I felt bad. I really did. I like Monday morning podcasts.
Yeah, me too.
I fucking love getting up and love yelling and love listening to fucking music. Where's the music, Lee? Play something for me. Play a little fucking Aerosmith for me. Something.
Oh.
I know you got something there.
Oh,
shit, we forgot. That's right. We forgot. We'll do it. I played it this morning also. I played it yesterday. I played it this morning. Oh, shit. So it entertained me so much that it let me know what I wanted to do. Whatever confusion I had Sunday night, I don't know why. I don't even know if I should tell people this, that you're going to think I'm fucking crazy. I'm not crazy. Whatever hang-ups I had at that minute before is the phone ring?
No, not yet.
Before, I got my man Billy Corbin calling today. We're going to talk about the KKK cops in Miami and other things. I have an idea for Billy fucking Corbin a day in Miami. But it's amazing that everything came into perspective at 4:30 in the morning. I don't know if this ever happened to anybody. You're walking around, you have different doubts, maybe a job, maybe a relationship, maybe a decision you have to make, and you're having a hard time making it, and then doing something stupid or saying something, just looking outside yourself for 5 minutes makes you make that decision. Watching that.
Now we got a call.
Right. I'm sorry. What's happening, beautiful?
Good morning.
Good morning to you, my little fucking ball of knowledge. What's happening?
I got a little bit of a cold. I don't think it's Ebola, though. But if my eyes start bleeding during the show, I might have to call an ambulance.
Okay, you do what you need to do. Can you fucking believe they're bringing those Ebola people back here? Is that fucking crazy, or is it me?
Well, first of all, the first thing that's crazy is apparently there's a secret serum. There's like a cure that like they've let 800 plus people die in Africa since February, but all of a sudden two white dudes, two missionaries in Liberia get it, and there's a cure. All of a sudden they send like this secret serum down there. Like I'm not one of these conspiracy guys, nor am I the type of guy that sees like racism everywhere. You know, like, oh, that's racism. But what else could explain it? It's like it's the cure that when white people get it, they've been holding out. Like I don't understand.
That's fucking amazing. Because they
and
said
that's why they're bringing them back, because they're giving them the serum first, I think. So they're like flushing them out, you know, before they even ship them back here. But I thought the whole point of like, you know, of separating people, you know, with a disease and without, you know, the whole concept of that was like, if you have a country that doesn't have the disease, why would you voluntarily introduce it into the country? Like, so far, America's been clean, right? I mean, we've been okay, and now we're going to fly people over who have the disease. It seems rather misguided. I will agree with you.
No, it's fucking crazy. What's been going on in your world? Last week you called me. You were guest hosting a radio show. You're always doing something, Billy. Yeah,
you know, it's funny. I don't know if you remember this dude, Rick Sanchez. He was like a broadcast legend in Miami. They were part of the big movement that changed local news into the if it bleeds, it leads mentality into that era. So his station was revolutionary, if you could call it that, in that form of, you know, shock jock local news. And he was like the Howard Stern of that local news era. And he goes national, as a lot of the talent in Miami does. Eventually, I think he went to MSNBC, then he went to CNN, then he made some pretty famous remarks referencing Jews in the media, in like, because Jon Stewart was making fun of him on The Daily Show, which I would think would be an honor for any newsman or news person. And so he makes some remarks, and the next thing you know, he gets shit canned. He gets fired from his CNN gig. And now he's back in Miami. He's doing this local radio show, and he just started like this Spanglish language, like local news comedy type of show, almost his own Daily Show, or however you say Daily Show in Espanol. And so he has this show, and it's slightly, I'm going to say like right-leaning. It's a little bit conservative because he's on the same network or radio station in Miami that like excuse me, Sean Hannity and Rush Limbaugh are on. And so I kind of was asked to guest host it, and I wanted to bring it back a little bit more to the center, you know, to kind of have a little bit more of drop some knowledge and talk to some people who have different views than you would typically hear in the 2 hours before they have Rush Limbaugh on. So we talked about same-sex marriage. We talked about when you were on a medical marijuana, maybe some things that they don't necessarily hear about on that show. And I didn't want to ever get invited back on again. So I was like, let's just drop truth bombs all over this show for 3 days while I was guest hosting it. And that's what you did. You always deliver. You're
a fucking man of so many fucking things. You know, I follow like, I don't even know who the fuck I follow on Twitter. Does anybody ring my bell? Not really. One person does, and that's you. Because every fucking day you post shit about Miami that you have to sit there and go, what the fuck? Whether it's an alligator, you know, it's always something. 20 pounds of blow found in the senator's house. The chick is dead on top of it. This shit only happens in South Florida. And for people who don't know about South Florida, it's fucking crazy. You know, like right now we're living in a society of if you shoot a BB gun at a school, it makes Yahoo right away.
Yeah.
Like anything to do with, they've gotten over Miami. Like, the only person that keeps Miami on the map, that tells us what's really going on in Miami, is you.
Well, you know, I think about, the crazy shit that I did as a kid, and I wasn't that crazy of a kid, but I think about like what happens to kids today for just doing stupid stuff. Like I remember, my elementary school was like the local neighborhood elementary school, so like we'd ride our bikes there on the weekends, and we would like hop the fence and climb up on the roof and run around on the roof. And I think today kids would get tasered to death for doing something like that. Like they'd be arrested for, they'd be 11 years old and get arrested for trespassing and damage to school property, and they would ruin these kids' lives, as opposed to just being like some young mischievous kids who aren't looking to hurt anybody, but you're just kind of, filling the dead air between school days on the weekend, and you're right about that. Like the second some dumb shit happens, it's somehow all over social media. Sometimes it's even true. But in the case of Florida, there was just like, this is why we built our business here. Our company, when we went to Sundance in 2001 with our first documentary, we were like the youngest guys in the history, youngest filmmakers at that time in the history of Sundance. We were the only guys from Miami, filmmakers from Miami. And everybody said we did like, our movie like was on the front page of the New York Post. It was about the alleged rape of a stripper at the Delta Chi frat house at the University of Florida in Gainesville. And the whole night's events with the strippers and the alleged rape were all caught on videotape. And we put it in the movie. And so it became a big deal because of how graphic the footage was. And people disagreed when they saw the footage whether or not it was a rape or a consensual sex act. Seeing the same footage, they disagreed about whether it was a rape or not. So it made a big splash, and then we did like 60 interviews in 6 days, and all the press asked the same question. The last question was always the same. They were like, "Okay, you guys have been anointed the belles of the Sundance Ball by New York Post. Are you going to move to L.A.? You're going to move to New York?" And we're like, "Hell no, we're going back home to Miami." And they're like, "Well, why?" And we said, "Well, first of all, that's why you call it home, because it's where you go back to when you're done doing other shit, And second of all, we knew that this town was just an untapped resource of just so many compelling characters and stories. And what's my old saying that I always go to? It's L.A. is where you go when you want to be somebody, New York's where you go when you are somebody, and Miami's where you go when you want to be somebody else. And that kind of informs the whole attitude of the place, of Florida in general. Like Edna Buchanan, the Pulitzer Prize-winning crime reporter, once said, it's like Miami's like the end of the line. If you're running from anything in this country, eventually you're going to run out. You're going to run out of time and run out of space in Miami. That's how far you can run. And the truth is, we have a saying in Florida that the further north you go, the further south you are, as you go up the state. Miami is like the Atlanta of Florida. Like you have Atlanta and then you have the rest of Georgia. That's what Florida's like. We have Miami. There's a couple of places that are kind of like, Palm Beach, Broward, and Miami-Dade County are like the blue tip on a red cock of Florida, and believe me, there's nothing the rest of the state of Florida would enjoy more than being able to circumcise South Florida off the rest of the state. And so even crazier shit seems to happen in like Central Florida and Northern Florida, and that's why you find a lot of the guests on like Jerry Springer type shows. A lot of them come from Central Florida, which is where your KKK cops are from, of course.
You got to break that down for us, because when I read that shit, I had to stop and look 10 times. Trust me, it didn't shock me. I know it exists. But when you make it Florida your home, it really hits home down there. The KKK cops.
Well, I got to say, I think, by which I mean I hope, that this is an isolated kind of an incident. This is a very small town. Florida's got a lot of small towns. It's not just Miami and Miami Beach and Palm Beach and all the places, Fort Lauderdale, all the places that people envision or come to when they visit Florida, like Orlando, for example. This is a town, Fruitland Park. It's got about 4,000 people. It's just north of Orlando, which is, of course, home to Disney World, the happiest place on earth. And but just below Ocala, which is like an equestrian, small country equestrian type of community. So Fruitland Park is what it's called. And as much as I like to say that this is an isolated incident, even in a state as crazy as Florida, even with the police corruption stories that seem to come out of here, unfortunately, daily, you really haven't experienced the full spectrum of Florida's insanity till you've seen this photograph. And I know you've seen it, Joey, because I posted it on Twitter,
yes.
of a cop with his badge, with his gun belt, with his uniform, and then he's got the Klan hood on and the Klan robe on top of that. I mean, it's absolutely petrifying, just this picture alone. Talk about speaking 1,000 words, but what happened was this department has about 13 officers in the entire department. That's the whole thing. And it turns out that of this small department, you had maybe 4 employees, 3 officers potentially, and a secretary who was once married to one of the officers, were members of the Ku Klux Klan, one of who actually resigned in 2009. I believe the difference between a police officer resigning and being fired is that I think they might even get to collect a pension if they're owed anything. They get to collect, vacation days, and because they weren't fired, they sometimes have an opportunity. They retain their law enforcement credentials. They can go and work in another department, which is of course a frightening fact. But I think this guy's name is. I think the Google search would probably kill him. You'd think on future job opportunities. But this cop who resigned in 2009, he was actually a recruiter for his local Klan. They call them Kliegels with a K is what they call these recruiters. And he wound up recruiting another officer in Fruitland Park, and that guy's wife, who, as I said, was a secretary who also worked at the Fruitland Park Police Department. And this guy winds up, the first guy who resigned, rats out this other guy to the FBI and rats out another deputy chief who's with the department, I have to tell you something kind of funny. Maybe they'll listen to this show and change it, but they like I said, it's a small department, and they had not updated their website. The deputy chief who resigned, his picture is still up on the website as an officer in the department, which is kind of funny. They're not big on the social media or updating the websites. But you also might have a situation, by the way, where this guy, this kind of scorned former employee, might have ratted out one of these guys just to get back at him. But the other guy, definitely, there's pictures of him at a Klan initiation ceremonies. And of course, because it's Florida, they had some crazy defense. And the guy said, no, I was working undercover with my wife. The chief told us to work undercover and infiltrate this local, Klan group so that we could out the other cop that had already left the force in 2009 because of these allegations. And then they asked the chief, who retired, did you assign these guys to this random undercover work? And he says, hell no. He says, we don't, the undercover work we don't really do at our level when you have a department this small. Their entire town is 3 miles long. He's like, we would never do any undercover work like this. There's no paperwork that exists to buttress this claim of undercover work. And it just turns out that these guys voluntarily, or perhaps as a result of peer pressure, this police officer and his wife joined this other police officer in the Ku Klux Klan. And the real tragedy of this, to tell you the truth, because I don't know that there's been any documented incidents of racism or anything on their part, but you have cases that these cops were involved in that they have to dismiss. So there might very well be criminals beyond the Klan, beyond these cops, criminals that go free because you can't rely on testimony from these police officers because they're members of the Ku Klux Klan. I mean, if you had a defense attorney, you'd pulled up this picture of the cop in his uniform and his badge and his gun belt wearing a fucking hood and with eye holes cut out of it, with bed sheets on his head, and you'd say, case dismissed, Your Honor, and the judge would say, you're out of here. So they have to drop any criminal cases that these cops were involved in investigating because there's no faith or credibility in their testimony. So this is kind of the cascading effect that happens when you have, unfortunately, a situation where either good cops go bad, or what I think is happening more often, bad people are becoming cops. You know, you have a certain segment. I don't know what the percentage is. I hope it's small, but a percentage of people who are, you know, either maladjusted or power hungry, who aren't like, you know, good people who become police officers to do the right thing, but they're bad people who become police officers so that they can do bad things and continue to get away with it, because usually there's no accountability. In this case, the pictures, the photographic evidence is pretty damning, and they're going down.
Hey Billy, this is Lee. I produce the show. Just a weird question. They let the KKK.
Dude, I'm from Florida. There are no weird questions.
They let the KKK protest now, and it's not like a terrorist group anymore. It's more, from what I've heard, it's more. I don't know exactly what they do. But let's say this cop was up front when he first started and said, "Listen, I'm part of the KKK." If they didn't hire him, could he like legally sue them and be like it's discrimination? Like is that even possible? Could he have admitted to it and then been hired? Like I think that's a very funny question. And by the way, we have so many lawyers in the state of Florida. I'm relatively certain he could find one that would take on that lawsuit, because that would be a federal lawsuit. Interesting to think, like, or the claim might be that they're discriminating against him for his involvement in this social club or this political organization. I think because of the we'll say the well-known tradition of the Klan and its positions, that I think that would be sufficient grounds for not hiring someone, or in this case, firing someone, because I mean you kind of have to not have those types of biases that the that the Klan is very well known for. So while I wouldn't put it past lawyers in Florida, because there are so many and they're desperate for work, to bring a case like that, especially with what we've seen. I mean, we have a police officer in Miami Beach. Get this. This just happened last week. A police officer in Miami Beach, actually last year, he failed a drug test, a random drug test. He tested positive for cocaine. So they fire the guy, right? I mean, that's pretty simple. It's step one, you take a random drug test. Step two, you test positive for cocaine. Step three, you're fired. It's over. Last week, after extensive arbitration, he got his job back, including back pay of about $74,000 that while he had been fired. So he's getting paid back pay for time he didn't work. He's essentially been on vacation and fighting to get his job back. Here was his defense, this only in Miami moment. His defense was an old Cuban friend of mine gave me a penis cream because I was having some sexual dysfunction issues in like a purple jar that, I don't know, he bought at some fucking Botanica along with a goat and some Chango Santeria candles. He gives him this penis cream that the man applied to his penis, and it turns out it was laced with cocaine. It was some homemade concoction or formula. The man put just a strange unlabeled jar. He put this cream on his penis, and it seeped in. The cocaine-laced cream seeped into his system, unbeknownst to him, through his penis. And as a result, he accidentally, inadvertently had cocaine in his system at the time he took the test. Guess what? They accepted that defense, they reinstated him, and he's getting back pay. Jeez. So I wouldn't put it past anyone in the state of Florida to get their job back by saying, come on, I was just a member of the Klan. You can't discriminate against me for that.
You know, it's, I don't know if I'm Cuban. And as a child,
nobody's perfect, Joe.
Right. As a child, I got to go to Miami, and being from New York City, it was a different world. The lizards, the swamp. My family owned property in the Falls. They had the construction company that built the Falls. Pretty much, they would go specifically 130th Street and 100th Avenue.
Oh, wow.
I remember that in the mid 60s, early 70s, 68, 69. I would go down there. My godfather would go down there with a bulldozer and knock down all that fucking swamp, and then they'd build one house, which he would move into, and then they'd build 4 more, and it was a whole block. And after he sold the 4 houses, he'd sell his, and he'd leave and go build something else. And while I would go down, I went down there from the ages of 4 to about 12. He had 6 different properties, So I got I went to Red Berry's baseball camp. I went to all the beaches. I'd go down there and get tutored. So if I was doing bad at math, my mother would send money down, and I'd go down there. I mean, I was part of a family. They were my cousins. And it was really weird. I never ended up in Florida, being as crazy as I am. But I've been to Florida from Jacksonville all the way down to Miami, and I got to tell you, in all my travels, it is one of the most fucking weirdest places, and I'm not putting it down. When I went on the Lam in '82, I lived in Sarasota for 2 fucking months.
Of course.
Talk about, nobody will find you in Sarasota.
No, I think statistically, the vast majority of fugitives on America's Most Wanted
are picked up in Florida.
They get caught in Florida usually.
If you watch that show on this, when I go on the road on Fridays and Saturdays, I enjoy it because I get to watch daytime TV, something I don't watch. I get a notebook, I get coffee, I smoke some weed, and I try to write jokes, listen to, Gangland and shit like that. But there's a show on one of those things that I almost got caught. It's on Discovery or something, and it's always about a guy.
Discovery ID.
Yeah, one of those. It's always about I almost got caught. And 80% of the time, they go through Florida. I watched one about a kid from Brooklyn that robbed a family, and he went to Florida. And then when he was in Florida, in West Palm, he robbed the sheriff's house by mistake. And here's the weird thing, that he was doing all this when he was 25, and he got arrested in '88 in Vegas finally. And I related a lot to his story. He was a career fucking criminal. And he's not going to get released till 2025 because Florida has him. Because Florida will give you some fucking time also.
Oh yeah,
they give you time.
We have big private prison industry here. That's why. You have 88% of Floridians right now. This is the latest polling. 88% of Florida voters support medical marijuana, which is going to be on the ballot in November. Amendment 2. Vote yes if you're listening in the state of Florida. But 88% support it. 10% are against it. I'm estimating the other 2% were too stoned to respond to the poll. But 10%, that's it. When was the last time 88% of anybody agreed on anything, for crying out loud? And the 10% who are against it, Governor Rick Scott, who has an interest in private prisons and in a drug testing company. Okay? Then you have the Attorney General, who's a Republican, who's against it. Then you have the Florida Sheriff's Association, who, of course, they're against it. They want to preserve asset forfeiture, which is a huge money generator for them, which is, of course, legalized theft, because the police can seize your assets in the event that you are suspected, not convicted, and not proven beyond a reasonable doubt, but suspected of a crime. They can take your property, they can take your cash, they can take your car, they can take your home, and they can sell it for their own, to profit their own organization, their own police department, before you are ever convicted. The charges might be dropped, you could get out, and the police department could have sold your house, your car, seized your money, etc. So, like, there's no pure motives for any of the people who are against the legalization of medical marijuana, but that's the state of Florida. That's just us here. I mean, there are no pure motives of our. I mean, we have a governor right now who was the CEO in charge of the hospital company, one of the largest hospital companies in America, who was responsible for the largest Medicare fraud, multi-billion-dollar Medicare fraud in the history of America. He pled the fifth on a videotape deposition 75 times. Then he spent $75 million of his own money, the ill-gotten gains he got from this Medicare fraud company, and became the governor of the state of Florida. And this is the guy who's the governor of state of Florida. To the credit of Floridians, the same schmucks us who elected him, he has had the lowest poll ratings of like any any governor in in America for the last for his term the last 3-4 years. But this is who runs the state, and I always joke. I say, listen, if you're going to be the governor of the great state of Michigan, for example, okay, you want a guy who knows something about the biggest industry in your state, which is of course the automobile industry. And if you're going to be the governor of the state of Florida, you want somebody who knows something about one of our biggest industries, Medicare fraud. So there you go. What do they say? In a democracy, people get the government they deserve. Well, bienvenido a Florida.
It's 88% is no surprise. And again, I'm not proud of this fact, but part of my love for Florida was the drugs. I mean, when I first discovered cocaine, I was down there in 84, 83, and I had never seen anything like that. I had never seen anything like that. In fact, this guy who I was watching that show the other day, I almost got caught, went to Florida, and his first morning in Florida, he says he wakes up, he looks out the window, and there's cops everywhere with their guns drawn. And he fucking hides under the bed, and after 5 minutes, if they don't kick in the door, he calls it's 1983 in Miami. They're doing a reenactment. And he calls the front desk, and he goes, excuse me, I just woke up, and there's cops all over the thing. He goes, don't worry about it. They just found, 22 bales of blow on the beach. It happens all the time. Just stay in your room for a couple of minutes. And, when I went to Miami in 83, and these kids that were my age, maybe a little, I was 21, and there's these young kids telling me about where they live is the inlet, like the end of the ocean, and they would go down there before school. That was what they did before school, to see if anything floated up. They would tell me stories about when they pull out bales of weed. That's how I got the paraquat at that time. Bales of weed was stuck underwater. It was salty. Whenever I smoked the weed, it was very salty. And I guess they sprayed that with paraquat, and that's when I got my lung infection from Florida fucking weed. But it's amazing how it's all. Look at isn't the pill business the biggest it is in Florida, correct?
It was the pill mills. There were more pill mills in Broward County, which is just north of Miami-Dade. There was more pill mills for a while than McDonald's.
Now, what's a pill mill?
So a pill mill was one of these. It was kind of a throwback. I don't know if you remember the pain relief centers back in the 70s and 80s, where they sold Quaaludes, and it was kind of like this gray market situation. So the pill mills are mostly Oxy right now. They're mostly Oxy. Which was killing up to 7 people a day in Florida for a while. Can you imagine? We were killing 7 people a day on Oxy, on these quote legal, toxic prescription drugs, but 10% of Florida is against medical marijuana. But meanwhile, they had this situation where you would go into these pain relief centers here in South Florida, and you would basically go to one window where a doctor would look you up and down and say, oh, you're not well, you need a prescription. And they'd hand you a prescription. Then he would take a big step to the left, you would take a big step to the right to the next window, and you'd open up the window, and there would be the pharmacist, sometimes the same guy as the doctor who just quote-unquote examined you, and they would fill your prescription right there. And these basically just became kind of drug dens of sorts, and you had a situation where people from Kentucky were coming, or people were going from Florida to Kentucky with the Oxy. They call it the Appalachian Trail, and the sheriffs in towns in Kentucky said they were pulling over more people with Florida plates than Kentucky plates, and they were bringing up these drugs, and people were just dropping dead left and right, and you could just go right from Florida, from the pill mills, right up the Appalachian Trail, as they said, and sell these drugs, and people were just, whether you were kids, women, whoever, just dropping dead from Oxy, and they started to crack down. It took years. But there's always that learning curve, with law enforcement, catching up to drug trends and things like that. But this is a legal drug, quote-unquote legal drug, FDA approved. Your doctor can prescribe it to you, but they were just basically, making, you're talking about making hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash a week from selling these pills to drug addicts and children. And that was a huge business. In Florida for a while. They have since cracked down on it, and fortunately, it's a lot better. I can say than it was before.
How did they justify it before they cracked down? Because I heard didn't they not keep track of it, so you could go to a pill mill down the road and get the same bottle twice in the same day. So like, how did they justify like that it was legal before they started cracking down?
Oh, it was worse. I mean, you would walk in and you could bring an X-ray. It could be someone else's X-ray. The doctor would look at it upside down. He'd hold it up to the light and say, "Yeah, oh yeah, you're in bad shape. Here's your prescription." I mean, these were total cursory bullshit examinations, and and also you had some of the same businesses, as I said, selling the pills. There was nothing really legal about it. It was more of, I'll say, it was a gray area of the law, because again, these pills are legal. They can be sold through pharmacy. You can get them at Walgreens, at CVS. In fact, I think Walgreens had a major, actually was sued by the federal government and settled for a lot of money with the DEA because of what they were doing in Florida, which is, as you put it, they weren't really tracking who was buying what. And they were accepting prescriptions from suspicious doctors who clearly just had pads of oxy prescriptions all ready to go, and you had people lining up out the door to get them, and then going to different Walgreens locations and getting them. So the DEA actually had to crack down on Walgreens, America's worst pharmacy. I hope they're not a sponsor, but and that's just one of the many reasons why they're America's worst pharmacy. They also moved offshore to take their profits with them as well. So they can sell poison to American children and kill them with impunity, but they won't pay taxes. Or a higher tax rate in America because they've moved their headquarters offshore to boot. But this was like a gray area of the law that these guys existed in. It just took time for them to catch up.
It's crazy how they make the distinction, because my first job for 2 years was CVS, the pharmacy, in Massachusetts. And towards the end of me working there, it was the big cough syrup and cough medicine craze. And I literally had to card and scan licenses for people, and they went bananas. Like, and it makes sense. I mean, moms would come in with sick kids, and maybe they just walked over to the store, and I would have to literally scan and write down their address in a little book and make sure they can only buy a certain amount of that, and that was bad. But they can have OxyContin stores like 7-Elevens in certain areas.
Well, here's the problem with that. Of course, there's also scissor. I mean, are you gonna take fingerprints from everybody who buys cough syrup? But this is the problem: is that we all kind of become criminalized. I mean, I would go into this is a problem with because one of the active ingredients in the allergy meds, of course, is necessary for the creation of meth. But you need a shit ton of it. But every time allergy season would roll around, and I would go to CVS or Walgreens, to get some Claritin, because I'm clearly congested, I can't breathe, I run into the store, and the next thing you know, they need my ID, I need to fill out some paperwork, they need to see my passport, I need to give them an aspirin, and it's like, what the hell? It's like it criminalizes everybody. I mean, you need a shit ton of Claritin to make meth, I mean, like I would need pallets full of it on forklifts to make meth, if I was Breaking Bad. But like, you just want to buy some allergy meds, and the next thing it's the same thing with it's all security theater to some extent or another. I mean, we can't all be meth dealers, we can't all be terrorists like the TSA treats all of us. We can't be, but like this is a classic case of your because of the problems that we're now all guilty until proven innocent.
Do you think part of it, and I'm not even a conspiracy theorist, but meth is pretty easy and cheap. It's one of the people who are poor might make meth, and people who do pills might be a little bit more well off. Do you think that's part of it? Like they want to keep the rich people happy and keep the poor people, they focus on them. Like, I'm not even a conspiracy theorist, but just thinking about, I don't know where it comes from.
Well, it's all about. I think it's less about that and more about the special interests, because of course the major pharmaceutical companies are the ones who help finance Washington and finance political campaigns. They're the ones who own things like Oxy. What they don't want you doing is making your own concoctions at home. You know what I mean? Whether it's moonshining with an at-home distillery, whether it's creating your own at-home drugs, whether it's growing your own marijuana, because then you're taking money out of the pockets of the billion-dollar pharmaceuticals. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's just a simple, it's a simple follow the money. I looked up those stats. Walgreens had to pay $80 million in fines to end the DEA probe that had allowed millions and millions of oxy to reach the black market. They were doing one, of course, always a Florida connection, as I said. But so in 6 Walgreens pharmacies in Florida ordered more than 1 million pills a year, whereas in 2011, the average pharmacy in the U.S. ordered about 63,000 oxy tablets.
Damn!
One pharmacy in Fort Myers, which is my hometown, Dunk City, baby, they were ordering 95,000 pills in 2009. And then in 2011, they ordered 2.2 million oxy pills. So that's what Walgreens... So they just ignored red flags, is what the DEA said. I mean, they just thought, oh, business is booming. Yes, 7 people a day are dying in the state of Florida, but hey, that equals millions of dollars into the pockets of Walgreens, and they're not even paying taxes in America, so what do they care?
It's hysterical that I love drugs. I really did. I could lie to you and say, I was that much of a fucking loser. I loved it. I loved getting high. I loved a couple lines and a Valium, and I ate the Quaaludes. I ate the fucking Benzo. I mean, I ate all those downers. I ate a 16th of an Oxycontin, and I got to tell you, I knew it wasn't for me.
From 1/16 of a pill?
I'm so grateful that your heart is still beating.
A 16th.
Why didn't you like it?
It was one of the roughest things. It was like my pressure dropped. Like the color went on in my face. It was one of those type of drugs. I laid down, I got up the next morning and said, you know what? I've done a lot of things. That is not for me. That is not for me. I don't want them around me. Do I want those? I could see. Lee, you made a good point, and I think you'll agree with me, Billy. Pills are the fucking drugs of fucking rich white people. Again, pills are the drugs. If you look at who's eating Oxycontin, yeah, it's a bunch of fucking junkies. That's a junkie pill. But what about the other pills that we have? What about these ADD pills that people are using and misusing? Adderall, is that what it is? Adderall and all that. Adderall. What about the people who chug down Valiums all day in the name of anxiety? Because nobody has more anxiety than me. How the fuck are you going to chug down 10 fucking Valiums and move around? What's this Ambien drug that
the sleeping pill? That's scary.
Oh, man.
That's who takes fucking Ambien? Not fucking yams, not black people in fucking Liberty City, And that's the other side of it. You're absolutely right, Billy.
No, we just had this Judge Lynn Rosenthal. She's a Florida state judge in Broward County. She was caught on video. She was DUI. She was driving in the morning from her home to work, okay? But by work, I mean to the courthouse. And she hits a fence trying to go into the judge's parking lot. And the police all of a sudden descend on her because there's a bunch of cops around the courthouse. And it turns out she was driving on Ambien. She was sleep driving to work, this judge. And she gets arrested. She also had Xanax on her, by the way, but she swears that she didn't take it, and she wouldn't let the cops take any blood from her to drug test her effectively. But she did. I believe she took a urine test, and she was clean for alcohol. So it was just this Ambien that she had taken. She was sleep driving. She could have killed somebody. She fortunately didn't. But because she's a judge, they dropped her DUI charge. They reduced it to reckless driving. She was sentenced to 3 months of probation and 24 hours of community service. Now, imagine if it had been you or I. What would have happened in that case?
Well,
but this was a judge.
But always remember, the prescription is what makes the difference. She had a prescription, Billy.
You're right. By the way, you're absolutely right. And to her credit, she says that the doctor prescribed her pills and the quantity or whatever the dosage was of the pills were way too much for her, and she blamed the doctor for prescribing the overly powerful dosage in one pill of Ambien. Maybe she'll take a half pill.
But she didn't complain when he prescribed it. She only complained when she got
Well, she didn't really fucking know. Listen, Ambien's a tricky thing. I've heard just amazing stories, but so is Adderall. So all these pills that people are taking. Adderall, they sell them on the streets in L.A. I have a friend that says he buys them 40 lot or something like that. I don't know what he spends or whatever. So,
I will tell you that shit works though. I mean, it's a narcotic. It is dangerous. It is powerful, but it works. There was a funny Onion Onion headline years ago that said Adderall receives honorary degree from Harvard Law School. Because if you are up studying or working or on a work bender, that shit does the trick, man.
It does the trick, but I know people in college who snort it, so it's not even like they're taking it for like the good. They just take it just to get. Just to get the studying done. But
come on, Lee, doesn't that get into their bloodstream quicker? I mean, that's just a responsible drug user right there.
Puts it right in the fucking schnoz just to get it through. Let me ask you something, Billy. What are you working on? What's your next thing?
We're actually in production now. We've done a couple of ESPN 30 for 30 documentaries, the sports documentaries on ESPN. We actually have two of the top 4 highest rated, and are going for our third. We're doing a sequel. Actually, this is the first ever ESPN 30 for 30 sequel. It's to our first ESPN doc, The U, which is about the University of Miami football program.
Loved it.
So we're doing a sequel.
So the sequel is What Are They Today?
We did Cocaine Cowboy sequels. What I like to say, we're not one-hit wonders, but we may be one-trick ponies. I'm not sure yet.
I would love to see you do a documentary of a day in the life in South Florida with your tweets. I was looking at your tweet. I was looking at your page one day, and I go, "This is a fucking movie." A day in the life in South Florida. That's the name of it. From 6 a.m. and you wake up to sirens, and then every hour on the hour, those things that you post, because you post something interesting as fuck every 3 hours in South Florida. Something happens that you go, "What is that he just posted?" So a documentary of a day in a life in South Florida would be brilliant, just so the rest of this fucking country could see what happens down there, because nobody would believe it.
You could take any hour of any day. You could take any neighborhood, to tell you the truth, and
any
whether you're documenting a day in the life of the neighborhood or the history of the neighborhood, like you were talking about the Falls and developing Southwest Miami-Dade over there. And I told you I came from Fort Myers. My grandfather was one of the early developers who was developing a place called Lehigh Acres, which is one of the first planned, developed subdivisions in that part of the swamp. And the first thing they did was they build a grid, which means they've got paved streets for as far as the eye can see. They have a grid so they can start. There's no houses. There's nobody else out there. There's nothing out there. There's just paved, miles and miles and miles of paved roadways, that just grid throughout the swamp. And they would come out in the morning, the construction crews, to go to work, and they'd find a plane abandoned on the straightaway of paved road, because it turned out it was the ideal spot for drug smugglers to land, because you just had miles of just paved roadway. It was just like a runway for them, and they could land, they could unload if they had an emergency or whatever. They could even abandon the plane, because the cargo was worth a lot more than the plane ever could. They'll sell the cargo and they'll buy a new plane. But that's true. Any hour or any block or any neighborhood of Florida or South Florida, it's instant documentary, which is why we kept our business here.
Instant. And I remember when I used to go to the Coconut Grove Improv when it was there, and I went there.
R.I.P. Rest in peace, Miami Improv. Yeah.
I went there from 98, maybe 99 to 2004, before they said this kid can't come down here no more. He's going to die in one of those hotel rooms. He's going to die. They knew what I was doing. I would go down there for 2 weeks, and I would just push my heart to the extent of it, And I'm not a good-looking guy. I don't have a Corvette or nothing. But I would walk into that news cafe in Coconut Grove,
yeah,
and I'd always leave there with a crazy woman. I don't have that magnetism.
Where did you stay at the Mayfair? Where did they put you guys up?
Listen, I used to stay at the Mayfair. Then I used to stay at the one by the road, by the Pollo Tropical, US 1 or something. They used to put us by the
right
Newport.
The street, yeah. On your way out of
where
the
it
road,
turns into a bad neighborhood. Like after 3, they sell crack there and shit. Right across the street.
The Grove is like that. The Grove is kind of like New Orleans. You've got Bourbon Street in the French Quarter,
it's
and then you've got
crazy.
the 9th Ward right next door.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. If you walk a little far south in Coconut Grove, you're going to get a problem. You're going to have a problem. I had a problem one night. 3 black guys.
That intersection of Grand Avenue and Douglas Road, that's like the back lot for the first 48, there, that intersection.
I'm not kidding you. It wasn't good. So they knew. they knew that every time I went to Miami, it was 2 weeks of did Joey wake up this morning? You know, between the wet willies and the dealers and the people putting packages in you. But the stories I tell, the craziest stories, are from Florida. There used to be a bartender at the Improv that had a girlfriend that was studying to be a doctor. And she would come in, ask me for a bump, blow me, and just sit at the bar. Ask me to blow me. Guys, again, I'm no fucking Julius Caesar. You know, I don't have the biggest dick in the world. One night I brought a girl home to do blow, and this girl said to me, blank out. She goes, I never met you before. If you do a headstand, I will fuck you. Just a headstand.
Could you do it?
No, she left.
Dude, these are the standards of women in
I
South
was
Florida.
too coked up to do a headstand.
Do a headstand.
And she would help me with the thing. I just wouldn't do it. She goes, I got to go. And she left.
Now, Joey, let me ask you this, because I have some recovering addicts in my family. I'm not a drug user. I'm not a smoker. I've never taken a hit off a joint so much as that. Not that that's a bad thing. I'm a major supporter
I'm very
of
proud of you.
medical marijuana. I just that was just a choice I made early in life, and I would sit around with friends in high school, and they'd be passing a joint, and eventually they learned to just pass it over me. You know, they wouldn't even offer it to me anymore. And that's just, I grew up and I'm like, why am I going to start? Now, God forbid I should get sick. And my doctor prescribed it. I'd absolutely take it. It's certainly safer than the vast majority of the alternatives or the medical, options with this toxic shit that we ingest. But, and that our drug dealers in white lab coats peddle and push to us. But my question is, I always hear this from people that I know in the recovery community and people in my family. They say no matter where you go, you get off a plane, you walk into a restaurant, you're walking down the street, other addicts and dealers can spot an addict. Like, people will just come up to you and start offering you shit, on the street. That there's like a radar, like a gaydar of addicts or something that they can. Does that ever happen to you? Like, you would just, and people would just offer you shit because they knew you were, you were looking or hoping that you were looking.
When I was getting high, or the last 7 years, do people approach me? Which one?
Well, when you were getting high.
They say there's a big heroin movement in Hollywood. I never did heroin in Hollywood. They say there's a big speed movement in Hollywood and pills. I never seen none of that. My thing was cocaine. From 1984 to 2007, Billy, even if I didn't want to do cocaine, it mysteriously bumped into me. There was a point that I think I was even cursed. If I tell you this, the rest of the people who listen, they're going to think I'm crazy. But I'm not crazy when I tell you this because you grew up with it. There was a time in my life from 85 to maybe 94 or 5 that I was convinced that somebody put a Santeria spell on me to just snort coke. Because no matter what I did, it always bumped into me. In fact, it would bump into me for free sometimes. Even
I guess that bump pun is intended.
It didn't. Oh, the bump pun. I mean, even when I remember getting arrested, bailing out, and moving in with a roommate who I thought was clean, a decent guy, and I found out he was a huge drug dealer. I had luck like that. I always had luck like that I meet somebody and they'd say, oh, my sister deals drugs. Oh, you want to stay there? She needs somebody to watch the house. Just don't touch the coke. Okay. I'm not going to touch the fucking coke. That's what my life was like for the longest time. I remember meeting a guy. One of my best friends said to me one time, he goes, Coke, sleep downstairs. If you need a bump, the coke is under the baby crib. So you would have to pick the baby up and go under the crib and take the baggie out. You know how many times I picked that baby up one night, stealing coke all fucking night long? Every time I went in the room, the baby would look at me and go, I can't get moved no more. He was like a fucking year old, this girl. That's
John Roberts in Cocaine Cowboys, the big cocaine wholesaler that we interviewed in Cocaine Cowboys, and then Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded, which is now streaming on Netflix. Cocaine Cowboys Reloaded. John said that he would, sometimes if he'd bring girls over, he'd have his girlfriend, or she would have her girlfriends over at the house. He kept moving the shit around the house because he didn't want her to find it, because invariably when he would come home, when the girls were home alone, he would find where little holes in the bag where they would just poke a straw into a kilo. They would just poke a straw in, and they would just snort right out of the kilo, right out of the piece, and there'd just be little holes where the straws had been inserted.
It really is amazing the shit that I did for 30 years, the addiction part of my life, that I'm definitely writing a book about. I'm definitely, because there's hours and hours of things that I can't believe happened. And they were put right on my table. I never really, all I had to do was basically go to a town, get on stage, and do 2 cocaine jokes.
Right.
That's it. By the time I get off the stage, I go to the bathroom, and 2 seconds I'm in the bathroom. Somebody runs in and asks me if I want a bump and where I could get some. And that happened to me in every state I did comedy from fucking New York to West Virginia, where I got taken back to a trailer. The guy thought I was talking because I kept saying, "What do you got?" And he goes, "I got some shit that'll kill you, but you got to follow me 45 minutes out to this trailer." I followed him out to the trailer, and when I got there at 4 a.m, it was meth. I bumped into drugs every city I went to. Am I proud of that statement? No. But that just goes to show you that, yes, other addicts do recognize addicts. I could tell a chick that's doing coke that likes to suck dick that's a freak. I'll go up to them and go, "Let me ask you something. If I give you a bump, can I eat your monkey?" And they would just look at me and go, "How did you know?" It's amazing. It's fucking amazing.
That's why you should write a book, because what happens is it doesn't glorify it so much as addicts will read it, they'll recognize their own behavior and maybe change it. You know, and you could save people's lives by telling your story.
Hey, that's the point, my brother. Always a fucking pleasure having you on here. Always. I really wanted to talk to you about this KKK cop. To clarify that, I wanted to give you my pitch on a day in Florida. And that's it. I love you, buddy. I love you with all my heart. Like I said, I follow you, and I read all those tweets because I know that there's something good. You never disappoint me. They don't make me laugh. They just make me go, Jesus fucking Christ. When does it end down there?
You know what I say? Florida never shocks me, but it always disappoints me.
I'll see you in a few months. I love you, Billy.
Thanks, Joey.
Have a great rest of the summer. What's up, Lee Syatt, cocksucker?
No, that was a great call.
That was a great call. Billy's very knowledgeable. And yeah, man, when you're an addict, fucking people will hunt you down. Let me give a little something for my sponsors here. We got a new guy. We got a new big guy. They listened to the podcast. They like what they saw. They saw that I was smoking an e-cigarette. They volunteered to send me a package. And like everything else people send me, I try it. I read it. I listen to it. I put the shirt on. Whatever the fuck you send me, I try. I'm never going to waste one of your gifts in vain. And it's called a Hit e-cig. And they sent me a box, and it was pretty cute box, you know, the packaging. But one thing I noticed, that it's the Hit 1200. And it's guaranteed 1,200 hits. You've seen me smoke a blue on here. A blue, they cost $10, and you might get a whole day, maybe a day and a half for $10. I think they're charging 18 for these, 15 for these, whatever the fuck they are. I've had this for 4 weeks. Still tastes good. I got this 8 milligram one, 8 milligrams of nicotine, because they have different sizes. So let's say you want to quit smoking. You get this Hit e-cigs. You go to hitecigs.com if you want to quit smoking, and they start with 24 milligrams of nicotine. They go to 16, they go to 8, then they go to 0. You quit, and you quit for cheap, because their motto is better tasting and it lasts fucking longer. And I kid you not, I've been puffing on this motherfucker for fucking weeks. And to boot, they make a cigar. They make a cigar that's 24 grams of tobacco and 0 grams of tobacco. The cigar, I don't have one on me. I will bring it on Wednesday.
I love cigars.
It's fucking tremendous. I've smoked the 0 one and the one with nicotine in it, and it is fucking tremendous. The taste. You don't believe me? Have I ever bullshitted you? Have I ever bullshitted you motherfuckers?
And they have a bunch of flavors, too.
And they got tons of flavors. I forgot the fucking flavors.
Green apple, they got blueberry, they got menthol, and they got vintage. And then, because they have a...
I'm a vintage type of motherfucker.
The 1200 is $20. But if it lasts you a month, how many blues do you go through?
I go through 5 blues in a week.
Every time I'm with you, you get a... But these... They have a 1200 one, which gives you 1200 2-second puffs, and then they have an 800 one for $15.
You see the smoke I'm blowing out of this?
Yeah.
This has been a fucking month already. I'm not lying to you. I don't give you no. If you're thinking about quitting smoking or you just want a healthy alternative, go to hitecigs.com. See what they got to offer you. If you like it, go to the box, order it now, and put in Joey's Church. What do you get? I have no idea whether they give you 10% off and 20% off. I haven't talked to them in a couple of days. I called them this morning to verify. Give this product a shot if you're thinking of quitting smoking. I do not bullshit you. I do not give you fake fucking products. This is a tremendous thing. You're in your office. You don't need to walk outside with the rest of the stiffs and freeze your ass off. You just take 2 little fucking puffs. And there you are, off and fucking running. Now, let me tell you something. They have vapor pens that are like this. I have them at the house. Vapies, you take them off, you put a button there, you can fucking smoke at your desk, and then follow with a fucking 16 milligram tobacco. Who's better than you? Go to hitecigs.com, welcome them. Welcome. At least go to the webpage, take a look at what they got to offer. Think about it. I don't give a fuck. Think about your health. Think about, how annoying you are. You can't go outside if you live in cold weather. We're looking at the cold weather. January's coming. You might want to start a resolution. This is the way to do it. Please, go to hitecigs.com and take a look at what they got. Put Joey's Church in there if you want to order. I think it's 20%. I'll verify it. I think it's 20%. Go to hitecigs.com today. Take a look. Read it, the information. Think about it. I don't give a fuck what you got to do. You'll be there eventually. You don't want to keep buying this. You don't got to plug this in. 1,200 hits fucking guaranteed. Go to HiteciGs.
It says on the website that the 1,200 is equivalent to 6 packs of cigarettes.
6 packs of cigarettes. That's 120 fucking cigarettes. You'll be smoking, huffing, and puffing for fucking weeks. Go to HiteciGs today. Why stop? Stop fucking around. Stop killing yourself with this fucking nicotine, all right? You want to get healthy? Start with Onnit.com. Go to fucking Onnit. I got the Shroom Tech in the mail the other day, and I got to tell you something. My knee's not fucking hurting. And I hate to say this because you ever go on TV and you watch a product like sleep apnea? They have this thing, do you snore? And you can order this mouthpiece. Let me tell you something. As family, that mouthpiece ain't going to do shit for you from TV. You got to order it, and they, like Joe Rogan, they did the thing in his mouth, and they measured his mouth and his tongue. You're not going to get a piece from TV, and it's going to fucking save your life, okay? I'm telling you that right fucking now. What was he talking about?
About Onnit.
Onnit. All right, sorry about that. I'm a little fucking stoned. I'm a little tired. This is not gonna save your life. So with Strongbone, I'm not gonna tell you if your knee hurts and you need surgery to fucking order it because it's gonna take away the pain. I don't know what it's going to do. I know my swelling went down. I've been on it for fucking 4 days. My swelling went down. I don't have pain when I fucking walked. I bent over this morning to tie my shoelaces. That's when I get that sharp pain. Onnit fucking works. Whether it's the Alpha Brain, whether it's the Hemp Force protein shakes, whether it's the fucking ropes or the kettlebells, go to Onnit today. You're looking to get healthy, cut the shit. This is optimization. This is human optimization. I'm telling you, I feel better when I do the fucking Alpha Brain. I feel better when I do the Shroom Tech and I go down and fucking wrestle with fucking 25-year-olds. I'm not telling you I'm not tapping out. It makes me pick people up and throw them through walls. I'm telling them I'm more involved, I breathe more, and I have more energy. Go to Onnit, press
Church,
and get 10% off your first order. They also have a program, stayonit.com, where the packages get delivered to your house on the first of the month. Go to Onnit today, see what they got, read it, tell me what the fuck you think, order something, you get 10% off, all right? And they deliver it right to your house if you stay on the Stay On It program, just like Dollar Shave Club. Dollar Shave Club, I fucking love these people. I love these people more and more every day. Their razors are 100% fucking tremendous. Nothing cheap about this shit. You understand me? Why are you going? No fucking bells and whistles, no lights, no sprinkler for your asshole, nothing. Just 2 sharp razors that protect your face. They shave you close as can be. And for the price that you choose, you get a little strip on there with aloe or cocoa butter or whatever the fuck they got. What else do they have, Lee? One Wipe Charlie's. When I was shitting that liquid was coming out of my ass, when I went to that doctor yesterday, I was refreshed when they opened up my asshole and put that fucking camera in there. You know why? Because it smelled like peppermint. You know, you ever open up a chick's ass and it's clean, but you can smell a little shit from maybe the day before or something like that? You eat it. No biggie. They didn't have that problem with me. There was no shit residue. There was nothing. Why? Because I was using the peppermint fucking One Wipe Charlie's.
Yeah.
Whether it's One Wipe Charlie's, whether it's the razors. Choose the razor the package you want. $1, $6, or $9 a month. 2 blades with the aloe strip. You get a bunch of options. Do me a favor. Instead of me fucking it up, go to dollarshaveclub.com. See what they got. If it's not up to fucking par, I'm telling you, $1, $6, or $9 a month, get razors sent to your house. You save fucking time every month. What do they got to do? What's the box?
They put in church.
Church. CHURCH, you dumb motherfucker. Put it in and get your fucking value today at Dollar Shave Club. $1, $6, and $9. Also, for my favorite fucking people in the world, and I don't like fucking this up because they're always changing. They always send me shit. Okay? These is what are people I deal with. Hulu Plus, you fucking cocksuckers. Hulu Plus is so much more. They got current season episodes, every fucking episodes. It works on any streaming device. Hulu Plus has niche programming, Criterion Collection, animated, kids, originals, and you can watch Hulu Plus anywhere, anytime, and it's only $7.99 a month. What was that, Lee? $7.99 a month. And that's Joey, I get the same deal from the commercial, yeah? But you're not getting 2 weeks for free. That's why I come in, cocksucker. Go to HuluPlus.com. Watch original programming. The Daily Show. What else they got?
Seth Meyers Show. The Awesomes is coming back.
The Simpsons is going exclusively to HuluPlus.com. Stop wasting time. Go to Hulu Plus box today and press in
Joey
and get 2 weeks for free, $7.99 a month after that. What do they press?
Joey.
2 weeks for free, $7.99 a month. Why are you kidding yourself? Stop fucking around and go to Hulu Plus. Again, on it, HuluPlus.com, Dollar Shave Club, and HitE6.com. I love you motherfuckers. What's happening, Lee? Can I give shout-outs to my people? Jay Gomez, you bad motherfucker. Ashley, your boyfriend said to fucking send you something. He's been bothering me for days. Meta's Batman, whatever your fucking name is. Get it together. Mike Fitz, you cocksucker. Who loves you more than me? Inside Billy's head, you got a ball of shit with people flying. Jason Segars, Jacob Ryu, and Yabba Dabu. I love you, cocksucker. And I want to give a special shout-out to my main man, Greg Powers, and his Asian princess up there in fucking Seattle trying to get me to go up there and turn myself in. This motherfucker offered to pay for me to go up there and turn myself in, so I don't have this problem. This is why I do not ever want to hear that word fans again. We are a network, bro. We're a fucking network of savages, and we're growing daily, every fucking day. The mentality is we don't take shit from nobody, and when we walk in a room, we got the biggest dick in that motherfucking room. There's no reason to feel bad about yourself. If I annoy you with my talk about the past, don't listen anymore. I just want to show you that nobody's fucking better than you, dog. These motherfuckers ain't better than you. Every time you see me on a TV show or you see me on a stage, please clap and please think, because let me tell you something. I used to be a fucking savage, and I made it this far. So when I get on a stage or you see me on a TV show, it's not only me, it's you. It's fucking you. You could do whatever the fuck you want. You understand me? Stop looking at these people like they're Superman. Fuck them. They put their pants on one leg at a time just like you. They ain't better than you. So when you go to work today and your boss is saying to you and you're looking at him going, look, fuck him in the fucking ass. He ain't better than you. He just got to the job before you and he may know a little more, but you'll be there in a couple of years. Don't ever be fucking scared. Don't ever be fucking scared, Lee, to say something to somebody. When you're right, you're right. You got to open your mouth. You can't go around bullying people, but you got to stick up for yourself.
Right.
Don't ever be embarrassed about sticking up for yourself, bro. I was one of those people. You know, when I had these problems with the blow, when I promised to get off the blow, it was because I thought in my mind I was becoming a pussy. Anybody who can't say no to somebody is a fucking pussy, and I wasn't saying no to the blow. So when I got off the blow, the point of my addiction was to get balls back again. And I remember that I booked the commercial for whatever the fuck that was, and they didn't have brakes. They didn't have emergency brakes in the cars, because when they put lights in the car for a commercial, they fucking mix the wiring up sometimes. So the guy dislocated the emergency brake. I told you the story. So when I got out, I stepped on the brake to get out of the car, and the car kept rolling. And he goes, "Who's the fucking idiot that didn't put the brake on?" And I said something like, "Fuck you, motherfucker, tell you fucking..." And everybody stood there in shock. The guy didn't do nothing to me, and I didn't get fired. I stuck up for myself. When the guy came up to me later, I go, "You call me a fucking idiot. You treat me like a man, I'll treat you like a man." He put his hand out, and I put my hand out, and we shook it. There was no problem.
Right.
I saw him a year after that. He was like, "Man, that was a great night in Long Beach." Yes, it was. We giggled about it. People know when they fuck up.
I guess in my head, you always go to like the worst possible, like, oh, we're gonna get in a fist fight, and in reality, probably nothing would happen, and they'd probably say sorry.
And if they got in a fist fight, what are they going to do? They're not going to kill you.
Yeah.
They're going to bitch slap you. You're going to push them. You're going to fall down, whatever the fuck happens. And you know what? At least they're going to go home and say, "That dude said something."
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing in life. You got to say something. You don't have to say it negatively, and I'm the number one person who does that. Sometimes I take things wrong, and I go at somebody in the wrong way. And I'm the fucking, I'm man enough to admit it, that I have that fucking fall, that I have that fucking shortcut. But there's some people you got to say shit to.
Yeah.
And whether it's a parking spot, the other day I was in front of my house, and I have a big parking issue in front of my house, and there's a handicap spot, and people tend to park 3 feet from it. If everybody parks 3 feet from each other, I lose 2 parking spots. And I sat there for 10 minutes, and I said, and I went up to the guy, and I go, excuse me. I live in this neighborhood. I don't give a fuck who parks here. Just park correctly. Can you move this car back? And he goes, I'm sorry. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
And I was scared to go up to him, and because how I approached him. I said, excuse me, I just got to, if you park this way and 8 people park this way, look, we lose 2 fucking spots. My wife is pregnant. My wife has a child. Not even a child. She's a fucking human kettlebell. You got to walk in and out of there with this fucking 90-pound child. Please, give me a fucking breather. So it's not what you say. It's how you fucking say. And with that, that's it. That's the church rolled up in a fucking barrel. Don't ever be scared to open your fucking mouth, especially if you're right, and especially if you're a fucking gentleman. And you women, I tell you motherfuckers to do it even double than the men. Because you guys, people talk in front of you, shit you don't want to hear. Somebody says, hey, listen, I don't want to hear that shit. And they'll look at you and go, look at this fucking bitch. But they'll respect you eventually. A couple weeks, they'll respect you because you said something.
Honestly, that's why I was thinking about it, because nothing's happened with Paula. But, I started thinking, what if some guy smacked Paula's ass? And then I was scared to do so. That's when I started thinking about it. I was like, fuck, I gotta get over this. So in case that happens, because God forbid that happened and I had to do something.
Listen, man, I don't go to jiu-jitsu to break nobody's arm. I don't have no malice when I go to jiu-jitsu. I really don't.
Right.
Sometimes I grab Rafi, who did the thing real hard, and I apologize. Rafi, I'm so sorry. No, Joey, go. One of my problems in side control is I don't like putting my shoulder in people's faces. Even if that's what you need to do. Even if the guy underneath me needs to do. Really, motherfucker, let me do it to you. Let 310 pounds rest on your face. Let me just do the side control that the guy, I don't have that malice in my heart. But I also want to know that if I'm walking my daughter home from school in 3 years, I'm 54 years old, that if somebody comes up to me, all I want to do is be able to take him down and hold him there. And I'll put my 300 pounds on him. And if he resists, then I'll break his fucking shoulder. But I don't want it for that. That's not what the martial arts is about. It's to, control yourself. So just do me a favor. From now on, stick up for yourself.
I will.
Even if I'm talking with you, later on, just say, Joey, this is what I thought. You don't have that chance on the street. But just start doing it at every level. And that's what I did. I did it at every level. If I don't like something, I don't do it.
Right.
Somebody called me last week to work a Sunday. Remember I was telling you, they work next Sunday. 10 years ago, I would have probably taken it and cursed myself on the drive down. Now, because I'm off the blow, I have the balls to tell the guy, no, I won't do it, and these are the reasons why. Because if I have a bad Sunday, you're going to use it against me in negotiations. And he laughed. And he said, okay. He's not mad at me. He put 2 other people down. I don't give a fuck. Let them drive down on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Always got to stick up for yourself, man.
That's awesome.
I didn't do dick today either. I didn't do dick yesterday. I went to jiu-jitsu today. What did I do yesterday? I did something fucked up. What was yesterday? Tuesday?
Yeah.
I went to acupuncture yesterday. I got my shit together.
How's Dr. Amy doing?
Dr. Amy's a bad bitch. She's working on my wrist. She cut me. She stuck fucking 2,000 needles in me.
Oh,
if there's somebody who looks like me right now, there's a voodoo doll on you. So fucking get it. She stuck needles everywhere, though, yesterday. And it's because they want to take the anesthesia out. So she took the needles in my leg. I did the regular fucking thing on my back. Then I did the cups. Then she lays it in my hand, my wrist.
Did she say anything? Because sometimes you come in and she's like, Dr. Amy said I was smoking too much weed. Did she see anything?
No, she said that I changed when I got out of there. I did pick up. I had a headache when I walked in. When she sticks the needles in me, I'm all right.
Oh, good.
Sometimes she knows how to clear me up. I go every other week now. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I go every other week. I'm getting ready to go back to the fucking Comedy Store tonight. I haven't been there in 7 years.
Yeah.
For reasons, I just figured you got to close one door before another one opens.
I was gonna ask you about that actually.
Would you stop with that fucking thing already, cocksucker?
I'm trying to get it right.
Jesus Christ!
Because you've always, since I've known you, always I had to get out of there and what is it like going back? Because once you make a decision, you don't really change your mind that often.
Well, I'll tell you what's going on in my life, Willie. Since I've had the baby, I'm still a hard worker, man.
Right.
But I've gotten a little soft. I find myself watching TV. with her, I find myself a lot like watching TV. My wife isn't working, so she slows me down. I'm the type of guy I like to get the fuck out of the house early. I like to get out of the house. I'll go to a coffee shop and write. Once I got an hour and a half of writing, then I come home and I still write, but I'm not going out at night. And I'm very happy that you're here tonight because you've always been one of my all-time favorite comics, and I've always been I admire your writing, and I'm kind of jealous of it. That you have a great comic eye, and but I'm not getting on stage enough.
No, you have to, bro. Well, you're a guy that comes from jiu-jitsu and then knowing that whole martial arts world. It's that if you that goes hand in hand, man. And if you don't roll like you're talking about, you forget it. I don't care. You could be the smoothest guy, but you lay off the mat for a while and you get on, and it's almost like you're learning how to walk again. And the same thing happens with stand-up, man. And that's why I'll go to any crappy club. You know what I mean? Like,
right,
doesn't matter.
The king of that.
Yeah.
I'm the king of that, like you.
Yeah.
The work ethic has been there.
Yeah.
But what happened was I didn't want to go into Hollywood no more.
Right.
One day I just said, you know what, man, I've been here 17 years. I don't want to beat it there anymore. I got the podcast early in the morning. I want to be wide awake for that. I like getting up early because I need 2 hours to jump in front of my wife and the baby, bro.
Right.
Because once they get up, there's nothing you can focus on.
No.
There's no joke you can focus on. There's no podcast you can focus on. There's no book. I'm trying to write a book. So
But you have to do it, bro. I tell you what, you have to, because I read a book by Stephen King. Stephen King wrote a book on
writing.
How to write.
Yeah, tremendous.
All right. Did you read it?
Fuck yeah.
Okay. What did he say about that part of writing, man? You remember he said people who are waiting for the perfect time for everything to be perfect for you to write, those are called amateurs.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what I used to be.
Yeah, he goes, so I remember when I read the book, because I had been doing that, because, I have 3 boys, my wife, and then, you're busy and whatever. So I knew that there's never a perfect time, man. There's always going to be something that bothers you, or someone in their outside, people that get in your way when you want to write. But you have to keep writing through that, and that's what Stephen King calls anybody who can't do that. It's called an amateur,
When my wife and the baby get up,
I'll
have fucking Stephen King come to my house and see if you're gonna get a notebook out and put like this with that little gorilla on your fucking lap. You follow what I'm saying?
No, I know, bro.
I write, but I have to beat them.
Yeah.
Like I have to get up at 5, write for 45 minutes, get up, take a shower, go back, write a little more, and then by the time they get out, boom, I'm theirs.
Right.
If I wake up and she wakes up 10 minutes after, there's no way.
Right.
I got to watch the first half hour when my wife gets the house ready and cooks breakfast. And I learned a long time ago that when you have a baby, and I didn't know. That's how, at first I'm like, yeah, and I told a friend, I goes, listen, I'm going to give you some advice. When you got the kid, you got the kid. When you got the kid, you got the kid. When, she's got on the couch now. She's on the couch now.
Right.
So that's a new thing this week. I can't sit down.
Right.
Because no matter what I tell her, Mercy, get down. Mercy, get down. I got to fucking, it's 20 times a day. Right. And the next morning she wakes up and she forgets. Stephen King can't fucking write that. I know what Stephen King's saying. Stephen King's saying, if you have 3 kids, you have to go on the road, you have to work out, you have to be a husband, you got to find time for fucking writing. So if you got to stay up till 2 in the fucking morning and write,
yeah,
you got to fucking write.
Yeah,
that's what a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, he even said, I think he wrote at the laundromat. You know what I mean? When he's doing his laundry, man. Because
it's quiet at the fucking laundry, man. Nobody bothers your shit.
Right. Well, it's those kind of things. And we were talking about comics who write, and I know that you write, but there's some guys that I hear that are waiting for the perfect everything to align itself perfect before you can pick up your pen or your laptop, whatever, and it's never going to happen. That's never going to happen.
Never.
And it is what it is, man. It's like a joke. I mean, we were talking about writing jokes and stuff, and that's another thing that I think where comics make mistakes is they try to write the right joke. You know what I mean? They try to write the right joke when they write, and you can never do that either. There's no such thing as writing the right joke. I mean, you might run into writing like by accident, write one that's right, like off the page, like you write it. But anytime you write, man, you're gonna write wrong before you write
correctly. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's I think that's where comics get into a lot of trouble because they go on stage with what's wrong. Obviously, the audience is gonna give you bad feedback. A comic thinks that is bad feedback, but actually there's no such thing as bad feedback, man. The audience just tells you that's not the way to write it, rewrite it. There's no such thing as, but a comic goes, oh man, I wrote this, it didn't work. I wrote this, it didn't work. And then they hear another comic do a joke and they go, wow, look, that's the way you do the joke. And then they start doing that joke. So that's how you get into bad habits of not trusting your own self. You think that everybody else has a better joke, so you start taking, comics, those comics that take. But we were talking about this, about not succeeding, man. You literally have to go through a process of having a piece of garbage, and then having a seed and planting it and putting water and all this. You gotta go on stage, and like you were saying, you know what I'm used to? I mean, we were talking before we got on the air, and you said something that's key to success. You said, I'm okay with bombing, man. You embrace bombing.
Love it.
And bro, see,
love it.
That's because you've gone to another level now, man. Your comedy is gonna it's just gonna, what you get at the results of that is gonna be yours, because you bombed and then you wrote and you rewrote. And then you write, you listen to it, and then okay, maybe I'll say it this way, and finally, man, when it's done, it's your bit, man, But it really has to go, you have to strike out a bunch of times before you hit the ball, man.
How long does it take you to write a 10-minute bit?
A 10-minute bit, if I really put my heart and soul into it, it'll probably take me 4 months, 3 months, 4 months. Yeah.
So an hour would take you a year.
A year, yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah, about a year. But that's me being
writing,
obsessive.
Right.
That's me being obsessive about it. Where I almost get psychotic. But because I think some of the comics, some of us, if you were to analyze us, if there was a therapist, they would think there was something, because we get obsessive, man. You wake up thinking about the bit. You're like, fuck, how do I write that one? Or what do I tag it to? Or what do I talk about? Or how do I make that funnier? Or this, but yeah, and another thing, there's not only one way to write, man. A lot of people think there's one way to write. Man, there's so many ways to write. One is you take a premise on stage, and you go up there with your, with nothing, and you just start talking, and sometimes you get laughter. You get laughter out of just, an idea that you had. You walk up there and you go, I hate assholes, man. I ran into an asshole right now, and I'm gonna tell you something about this guy. And boom, you just start talking, and it get laughs. And that's why I say, man, that if you ever go on stage without recording yourself, you're missing out. You're missing out.
I always never record myself.
You never? Bro,
you know why?
What?
I can't hear my fucking voice.
Okay, you know why? Because you're listening to you, Joey. That's where you fuck up. If you listen to yourself saying, "I bought this CD," or I'm gonna check this guy out. Not you, Joey. Go outside of yourself and critique yourself. Like, okay, I'm gonna listen to this guy. I just paid money for this. Now I'm gonna listen to him. Break away from. Don't have it so close to the vest. Listen to it as if you listen to a comic named Joey, and now you're really gonna be hard on yourself, bro. Talk about not liking yourself. You're gonna go, fuck, why? I should have said this, and then you stop it and you say what you should have said, and then you listen to it and you say, why the fuck am I pausing so long there? That didn't need that. I could have just kept firing, and then so you're right, or I need to slow. That guy needs to slow down right there. I didn't even hear myself. So that's how you do it. So you don't get bored of yourself. So you don't go, oh fuck, I know what I said next. I know. Right after this, I said that thing about the fucking guitar or whatever. You know, that's how you keep from doing that. That's how you keep from making it stale for yourself. You critique the fuck out of yourself.
How long have you been doing stand-up for now? 23 years. And what made you start? What made you go down to the Laugh Factory and say, fuck you motherfuckers?
All right, bro. I was going to be a cop, man. That's the truth, bro. I was going to be an LAPD, but I got arrested, man, the day that I had an academy date, and I got a DUI. And I was, you know, and then I didn't know what to do, and my friends were like, you should be a stand-up. And we snuck into the Comedy Store. We snuck in the back, and I remember, who was that? Pauly Shore was back there. His mom would hang out with him, you know, remember those days? And then, and I went back there, and then because we would heckle comics. Me and my friends, we would go just to fuck with them, you know, it was open my fucking rookies, you know. And then so I went back there, and I got some laughs, the first time, and I thought, fuck, this is easy. Fucking any monkey can do this shit. And then I went back the second time, and I fucking bombed, and then I was depressed, man. Fuck, maybe I shouldn't be a stand-up. You know, it was like, no, bro, yeah, you know. But that's how I got into it, man. Because I think comedy saved my life, bro. Because I was down, and then you're down, and you're like, what the fuck am I gonna do? You know, and then I was a stand-up, man. You know, but no, man, it's a great way. You know what? I used it. The reason it was great for me, man, was because it was I was able to use it as therapy, because I would talk about all that shit that happened, of why I didn't, become a stand-up, you know, and then you have people put shit in your ears, right? Because I remember I would go to comedy clubs and they go, no, you shouldn't say that. You should talk about this. And then I remember when you were a young comic and people were like club owners trying to mold you, and you go, well, fuck, he must know what he's talking about. I mean, you know, he owns a club, right? And then so you go back and forth. You kind of fight with yourself. Do I write jokey jokes? Do I write about my life? And it takes you years to figure out, fuck you, man. I'm gonna write about what I want to write about, what when I say it, or what I care about. That's all. You know?
And what were the clubs you used to go to when you first started? Like, what were the places that were around that?
Laugh Factory.
All right.
And the Comedy Store and the Improv. You know, I remember the Improv. The Improv was, man, it was white, man. You remember Saturday night at the Improv? I don't know if you, Joey, man, 1993, 94, man. And I remember the first time Bud had seen me, he made me a regular, man. It was like only 2-3 years into it. He made me a regular at the Improv. And my first manager was probably a cat you know, Dave Rath. You know,
that was your first manager?
I was his first client, bro. I was his very.
When I met you, you were with Bud's son.
Yeah, Ross.
Ross.
No, but Dave Rath, who went on, and I think he was all those alternative comics, right? Sarah Silverman and all those people. But before all of them, I met him. I was doing a show called MTV Kamikaze.
Okay, I remember that show. Stan, you did that?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
yeah.
Lee, you weren't even fucking.
No,
born.
I don't know what that is.
Bro, I was a kid, bro.
This was 93.
Yeah,
around there.
Yeah,
and at this time, comedy was huge. Comedy was on MTV. Two shows,
TV.
Right?
Yeah.
They had 2 stand-up shows on MTV. You had Sunday morning comics on USA or something.
Right.
You had Evening at the Improv. You had something on Saturday nights and Friday nights on NBC late.
Comic Strip Live on Fox.
Oh my God! That's how it was.
Yeah.
Why do you guys think that isn't more prevalent now? Because you would think with all the great comedy, like, and the only show, and not to shit on them, is that Comics Unleashed thing. And
that show sucks balls.
Oh, it's terrible.
And Byron Allen's a dick, dude.
Oh, is he really?
He's a bro. I'm sorry. He treated me like shit when he was on his show, and they asked me like 10 times to be on that, and I turned it down, bro. Like, I don't want to do that show. And then he did, and then I finally did it. And then they asked me, well, what credits do you want to say, or what do you want to say? And I say, hey, say that at the time I had a Comedy Central special coming, right? And then the PA comes back and tells me, well, he says he doesn't want to mention that. I go, why? Why doesn't he want to mention? I got a 1 hour special coming out. He goes, nobody's gonna watch it. That's what he tells me. He tells the PA, and I was like, you know what? Tell him that I want him to say that, man. You know, tell him that I said please to throw that out there. So and then he acts like he's this fucking rock star. Have you done that show, bro?
No,
bro.
They called me.
Yeah, I passed it again. I did it once. I said, fuck that. I'll never do that again, bro. And then he acts like he was sitting there. I forgot what it was called, but we did it in Santa Monica in a theater, and it was called comics.com. Remember, have you seen that one? It comes out late at night, same type of bullshit.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, it's called comics.com, whatever, man. It was like 2 billion comics, and the same audience was there from 8 o'clock in the morning till 8 o'clock the next day. Fucking, they looked like they were hungry and tired and dizzy. And then he's sitting in the director's chair, and bro, you would think it was like fucking big Hollywood producer, director or some shit, man. I was like, fuck this guy, man.
And that guy's never said a funny fucking thing in his life.
No,
is he a comic or no?
He used to be. I never saw him perform, you know. So I remember one night they called me and they go, we're coming to the store, want to see you for Comics Unleashed. You got to be spotless clean. I go, listen, let me just, well, when you come on the show, you have to give us anytime I do radio and they say to me, what's your, what do they call it? What's your slip-in? What's the material?
Yeah.
So it's 7 in the morning, you want me to talk about trains?
Right.
And that's what they do on that show. You're talking about
terrible.
sport. It's terrible. And it's the worst is the comics who use it as a credit. That's the one that I'm like, dog, I ain't saying that. I ain't saying that. Fuck that. No, dog. Don't embarrass me.
And there used to be like, what was the one? Premium Blend on Comedy Central. There used to be that when I was growing up. Like I think that was the first. I think that was the first place when I saw like Dane Cook, if I'm not mistaken.
He's 26.
Yeah, you're a baby.
So this is a big rip.
But it's just
that's the first time I saw Felicia Michaels
on Comedy Kamikaze.
And then those days you did Comedy Kamikaze, MTV Comedy Hour. That taped in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And then you had, it was just a different time for comedy. And I would sit there and cry and say, I'm going to get on stage, I'm going to try it. And finally I got it, you know. But it was funny, one of the first people I met when I came to LA was Willie at the 2 Rooms.
Right.
At the
Tequilas?
Tequilas.
Yeah.
That was Tuesdays.
Yeah.
And Wednesdays was
Gotham's.
Right.
Which became
Southgate.
Yeah.
But Tequila's is something different now.
Yeah,
For some reason, I drive past that place.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that's a place. I'll never forget the first time I went there. There had to be 300 people.
Yeah.
On a fucking Tuesday night.
Yeah.
At these places. And Willie was the navigator. Willie, you know, they gave you a thing, you had to sign, they gave you $40. Willie, I'll give you an extra $5, bro.
I was supposed to give everybody drink tickets. I kept them all.
He kept them all. It was so much fucking fun. And, you know, you think of, like you said, you know, I've been doing comedy for 24 years, but there were certain places that really helped you.
Yeah. I took the Wayans brothers down there, bro. In the hood. I took Chris Tucker down there back in the day. And that was a ghetto-ass
rooms, man.
Hey, bro, those cholos weren't playing,
They
man.
weren't playing, dog.
It's kind of weird because you've told stories about like how there's different rooms and comics have shows. Like it's kind of it doesn't really make sense. I mean, it works, but like just because you're a comic and then now you're producing a show, like it doesn't seem like you'd be good at it.
No,
but
you're
comics
really
are
good at it.
I wasn't really producing, bro. I was just,
that's what they say. We're producing a show.
I would just tell a friend, go, hey, get 5 comics, bro. I'll give you $30. So the other guy was, hey man, come on, you do 10 minutes. You call a bunch of guys, and then I would just get up on stage and do, you know. I would always stay on too long.
Do you guys recommend those shows? Because every once in a while I'll see on Facebook somebody post something like that, and like it. I mean, it's not. Maybe I shouldn't think
it's
this way.
It's not the Comedy Store
like,
or the Improv.
Yeah, I say like maybe I shouldn't go there. They're gonna be bad.
Yeah, no, those are great fucking
Those are great shows.
Because those guys are headed to the comedy. Like I used to do Willie's to go to the Comedy Store.
Okay.
Like listen, man, let me tell you something. Willie, Rudy, Casa Latina, whoever.
Yeah.
You know, all these guys booked the same rooms. Then one got fired, and the other guy picked it up. But all those rooms developed me. I remember when I lost. I remember like 4 or 5. About 7 years ago when we lost all those rooms.
Yeah.
I used to say, what the fuck is going on with my money? Because those rooms were an extra $300-400 a week. That's $1,600 a fucking month.
Yeah.
Going here and picking up a 50. Going here and picking up 100. Somebody's got $1.25. Somebody's got 80.
Yeah.
Somebody's got 75. Sebastian's got 63. You know, Sebastian always give you 60 with 3 singles. Dog, I'll catch you with the other 2 next week. You know, there was always something, but those things kept you alive.
Yeah.
Those rooms, you know, listen, man, when you're a comic, the goal is to do, and I'm not kidding you, Willie, we would do 3-4 sets a night.
Yeah.
When you live in New York, you do 6 sets a night. You start at 8 and you go till 3 if you want. So it's not just one. That's what I'm saying to you. I was getting soft lately. Because, Willie, with the 5 shows I got to do on the road, Thursday through Saturday, 5 shows, I got to give it my all.
Right.
Talk to people, smoke pot, sign autographs, take pictures.
Right.
Then I got 2 podcasts at 6 in the morning. I'm trying to work out every fucking day. Now I got the wife, the kid, writing. I'm trying to write a book, Right. So at night, you got to cut something out. So I said, you know what, maybe I can handle it without the going out
sets
during the week. So I'll go on Thursday, and everything I wrote from Sunday to Thursday, I just work it out on Thursday. So if I do an hour and a half on Thursday, nobody gives a shit. I don't like doing an hour and a half, but I try everything.
Right. But see what where you're fucking up, bro.
It's
not recording. Not
You're
recording because that man. Sometimes haven't you noticed you say a bit and the fucking bit crushed, and then you do the bit what you think is exactly the same, and it kind of dies or there's that C laugh like kind of a ha laugh, not a fucking laugh.
It's funny because whenever I go with him, I'll say something at the end like, "Oh, you did that bit different," and he'll be like, "I did that bit." So it's like you don't even remember the stuff because it's not the same. But like I won't remember stuff we say in the podcast. I'm gonna be like, "What podcast was that story from?" And I don't remember telling the story.
I should tape myself.
Joey, if you miss, like it's exactly what Lee said, man. If you miss like a little nuance, maybe there was a little delay in between the words, and that killed it. You know what I mean? Maybe you just said it faster, but if you do not, man,
you tape on a tape recorder or your cell phone.
I know I have like a little tape recorder, man. That's about 3 inches, and I just put it by a table next to me. And and that's my homework, man. That's actually half my writing. When people go that I'm writing, because I couldn't like to sit down and write like for 3-4 hours, I get bored. So I break in listening to the sets that I've done, and I listen to them and man, I just did. Okay, who was there, man? I was at the John Lovitz Club on a Saturday night about 4 weeks ago. I did an hour. Fucking ate it, bro. But I knew it. I knew I was gonna eat it. I was ready for it. But I said I have to get all this stuff out so I can start working on it.
Right. That's
you know what I mean.
Sometimes.
I have to get it out.
I just go fuck it, just to see the verbiage, just to see the look on their face, if there's even something.
Yeah.
I'd rather start it that way. There's times I will write something like just now. I wrote Jews aren't allergic to peanuts. To me, that's funny.
Right.
You know how long? You know how I'll put that in a fucking notebook before I go on stage? All right. It's 8/6. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do the Hitler joke. I'm going to do the Cuban joke. I'm going to do the Jews don't like peanuts.
Right.
For a month, I'll get up and I'll do this. But I'll miss Jews aren't allergic to peanuts. And it infuriates me.
But you know what? Carrie, man, listen, especially... You're not an open micer, bro. You're established as a comic, and the audience knows that you're a comic, man. So I think what we've earned and what I've done, man, I'll take out a little index card, and I'll just look really quick and say, hold on, guys, man. Fuck, you guys don't want to hear the whole shit you've been hearing all the time. Hold on, okay. I'll put it back, and I'll go look. So, because I don't want to do that set. And it's like the guys that, Joey, we know these guys, man. The ones that have done the same exact hour from beginning to end for the last 20 years.
It kills you.
You know?
It kills you.
And then I really think that's how comics end up wanting to kill themselves, man. Because think about it. It's like having to go up there and sing the exact like a band, exact same 3 songs every time. You get depressed, man. You go back to, you don't feel like it's real. When people go, hey, you were funny, you were creative, or you get a pat on the back, or people shake your hands, you feel like a weasel, man. You feel like you're a fucking little sneak, because it's the same shit you've been, you really want to go, look, bro, man, I did that shit, I've been doing it for 10 years, And man, how'd you come up with that? You ever do a bit you've been doing forever? How'd you come up with that?
When'd you write that?
Yeah, look at that. It's been, I've had it 15 years, bro. But no, honestly, going back to not having a healthy mind and not having a healthy mind, I think bombing keeps me healthy. The fact it keeps it fresh to me. It's almost like I give the audience something. I'll play some of the hits, and then I'll play something for me.
That's what I do. I like that too. I like that too.
And then I can see the audience, like, sometimes, like, you can see them like, well, where's that going? And you want it to go somewhere, but you kind of want to stop and go, look, motherfuckers, I want it to be funny too. All right, you're not the only ones disappointed, motherfuckers. You know, I'm disappointed too. But look, I'm gonna give you something now. I'm gonna give you a cookie. All right, then you do an old joke and then they're all happy, and then you sneak in some other shit. That's right. Yeah, right. But here's Joey. Here's where I think you're missing out, because you're missing out that little step is recording it, bro. And that's that's where a lot of comics. I've heard that before too. I hate listening to my voice. And then
you think I sit at home and watch The Longest Yard? I can't watch myself either.
Right.
I can't watch myself either. The other night I had the remote control away from me, and The Longest Yard, my wife was going through the channel. She goes, "Uh-oh, you're making money again." And just me hearing my voice, I was like, "Get that shit off." And I don't know, and I was ready to fucking break the TV. I don't want to I don't want to hear. Now, I thought that was a problem until about 5 years ago, and one that I had Letterman on. Mm-hmm. And what's the good-looking guy?
Comic?
No, just
actor?
An actor. Yeah, I forgot.
Brad Pitt?
No, the guy, whatever, Straight Street. What's that show he did when we were kids? Now I don't even know. Jesus fuck. Anyway, he was on there. Pirates of the Caribbean.
Johnny Depp.
Johnny Depp was on there.
Right.
Johnny Depp was on there. Johnny Depp, who is a fucking beautiful man. And so he goes,
I'd fuck him.
So he goes, Letterman's talking. He goes, so what did you, after the movie, did you watch it? What did you think? And he goes, what? And Letterman goes, did you watch it? He goes, I don't watch nothing.
Yeah.
I don't watch the dailies. He goes, wait a second. What do you mean? He goes, I don't watch nothing. Because the last guy I want to see on stage or here is me. When I heard it, and David Letterman's like, whoa, this is bizarre. And he goes, I'm telling you, I don't watch nothing. I'm not De Niro. De Niro watches everything. Right. Look at my hand. Let's shoot it again, because my hand went up just an inch too much.
Right.
That's De Niro. When you work with De Niro, that's how he does.
No,
you know what, Joey? I didn't like your eyebrow.
Yeah.
Okay, if you watch Inside the Actor's Studio, it took fucking 10 hours to stab Tommy in the trunk because he didn't like the noise. He didn't like the way the noise. So how to get the right noise. I mean, he's just fucking nuts.
But I think this is a little different. I'll tell you why. Because when you're doing stand up versus acting, I can see that. I can see why you wouldn't want to watch yourself. I've heard a lot of actors don't want to do that. But in stand up, you're writing a script, Joey. You're writing it's your script. That you're writing for yourself. In acting, they gave you a script, and you're gonna perform it. Here, you're writing your own script. You know what I'm saying? So how are you going to write a good script if you don't listen to it and try to move bits, or cut bits or get ideas for other bits? I think that's a little different, because you're writing your movie. You're really doing when you're on stage, you're an hour. When you go watch a movie, it's an hour. So I think if you look at it that way, that you have to have that discipline of listening to yourself, so you can write your movie. You don't want your movie to be shitty. You want your movie to be fucking to hit.
Do you guys ever think about, like, Joey, you give Willie your recordings for the week. Willie, you give Joey, and that way it's kind of like a peer review or something like that, and then you could listen to someone else and get another look at it?
No, that's hard.
That's hard.
I've done it for one guy. I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't want to mention his name. And he had a special, and it was successful. But I think if there's any way that I can work with anybody else, that other person has to be there, because we could say, stop, listen, bro, did you hear that? And he goes, no, I didn't hear nothing. Okay, let's rewind it. We rewind it and we go, boom. Did you hear that? Did you see how? Did you think you paused too long? Do you think if you just would have, or you get other ideas? Do you know what I mean? If you're talking about something, you go, oh man, you talked about, you and your wife, man. Why don't you talk about how you the same shit used to happen to your girlfriend? And then you're right. You know what I mean? So I could work that way. But
me listening and then sending it to him calling him back with notes, that don't work.
No.
Okay,
that doesn't work. And I in my mind, I know what you're saying. It's really amazing. When did you get so writing savvy in your career? What year did you get right? Did you read a book before this? I know I know you read a lot of books on writing, but when was the first time? What was the first book you read on comedy writing or writing?
Okay. Well, the one that really got me going was. There was a lot of them. I guess Lenny Bruce's book.
That's what got me going.
That one got me. And then his special. When you listen to his special in Carnegie Hall,
the black and white one.
Yeah. I have the it's audio.
Okay.
And it's he's in Carnegie Hall and he talks about missing the plane, trying to get to this gig, and what I liked about it that he just starts talking, right? He starts talking and he goes, "Hey, what if it's midnight right now. What if the owner doesn't even know we're here?" And he's just talking, and then it's quiet, and then somebody yells out, like, "Hey, blah blah!" Like this, like an Italian kind of guy. He yells out like, "Hey, do that bit," and he goes, and he starts talking about, "What do you mean that bit?" He goes, "That bit doesn't move me anymore." He goes, "I can't do the same bit, because I got to create new stuff." And when I started reading about him, and then when I got to when I got to his last chapter, I really connected. Because when you get to his last chapter, Joey, he talks about how when he was doing, was it Tonight Show, I think it was, with Jack Parr?
Jack Parr.
Yeah, he talks about how he hated it. He goes, "I hate doing 5 minutes because you have to be so contrived. And it's got to be joke 1, joke 2, joke 3. And he goes, "I fucking hate that. I don't feel free." He goes, "I much rather do an hour." And when I'm reading it, I go, I've done many Tonight Shows, so I did the 1 hour at the time, and I connected with that. And then I realized that in order for me to write and create, because Fear of not working anymore made me write a lot, Joey. Fear of not, because after my 1 hour special on Comedy Central, the producer came up to me and said, "Hey, Willie," and I was pumped up, I just had a 1 hour special. And he goes, "Hey, Willie," he goes, "your special's on this date, man." And I said, "Yeah." He goes, "You know what's going on the following week, right?" I go, "No, what?" He goes, "Some other guy special." And I thought about that. Oh, no shit. Once my special's done, that's it. And then how many guys have we known they've done 1 hour and then we've never heard of them again? And I didn't want that. I didn't want that I died, you go through that comedy death where the people don't hire you anymore, because they think, "Oh man, oh yeah, it's that same old shit that we heard." So I think the fear of not, somebody not wanting to see me or not getting that chance again, it's got me to write. And then I write many different ways, man. I do like 10 different things, Joey, to keep myself from getting bored. All right? I don't have one way when I go write. Like if I go to the diner, okay, one day I'll have a premise. Like right now, it happens to be assholes, man. There's a book right now called Assholes. That you can.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the guy who wrote it is got like a degree from Harvard or look it up, man. Find the guy. It's called Assholes, and he talks about how people become assholes, and so a lot of it has to do with entitlement, right? People become entitled when they're little. "Oh, you're special," you're. So people grow up with this idea thinking they're special, when in reality they're fucking not, man. We're all in this earth trying to coexist with each other and be thoughtful of one of another. The fact that your parents put it in your head that you're special is a fucking lie, right? So I'm writing this thing about assholes, man. Did you find the book?
By Aaron James?
Absolutely. There's the book, man, by Aaron James. And so what I'll do is, since I'm writing about assholes, I'll buy a book. I'm gonna buy a book. This guy wrote a great book about assholes. So I'm there and I'll read 20 minutes on what he has to say about assholes, right? So there goes 20 minutes. So because I have ADD, man. Now, okay, I read. And then another 30, 40 minutes, I'll write a premise. How many assholes have I ran into in my life? And I'll write sentences 1 through 20. You know what I mean? This guy was an asshole. I remember when I was a kid, I had an uncle that was a dick. You know what I mean? And I keep writing, Byron Allen. I don't know, I'll write like people who, and now I have 20 sentences. And I leave that alone, right? And then, hey, I'll put 30, 40 minutes into listening to an old set that I have in my recording. And then I'll listen to, and then That's how I keep from getting fucking bored, bro.
See, when I first started, I was the type of guy that would sit with a notebook at a fucking coffee shop.
Right.
Fucking 8 hours with the pencil in your mouth, writing one word at a time. And for years, I got discouraged.
Right. Well, it's hard to do it that way.
It's very hard.
Were you trying to write funny, Joey? Were you actually trying to? But were you, when you put the the pen to the paper? Were you trying to create funny?
I don't know what the fuck I was creating. I was creating a premise.
Yeah.
But when I realized 7 or 8 years ago was that I put my comedy notebook here. I took another notebook where I just wrote.
Yeah.
Every day was a chapter in Joey Diaz's life. And brother, by exercising this, oh fuck, I can write this.
Right.
Oh, in the 3rd grade, oh shit.
Yeah.
You follow me?
Yeah. It's a muscle.
It's a muscle. And that's really helped me. That's something that I had to learn on my own because I got sick and tired of, oh my God, there's cocaine in this pen. You know what I'm saying? I got sick and fucking tired of tasting that fucking pen at a coffee shop and drinking 3 fucking coffees, but I knew the importance of sitting down. I think it wasn't it Stephen King on writing? He said, you have to sit down.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's the end of the 2 hours that something comes up, but sit down. Don't worry about it. Leave 2 hours, sit down. Yeah. And that's what I've done, and it's helped me. But now I got to get the fuck out of the house. I got to get out at night. Like now I'm switching this whole thing around for the fucking winter. If I want to shoot a special this December, I got like 13 minutes towards a special.
Bro, listen, man. I've seen you. I wanted to go. First of all, I've seen you on the road with working with you. And there's something, man. Joey's the only guy, and I don't know where I got the balls to do this, man. 'Cause I'm surprised he didn't fucking grab me and fucking shove me, into a wall. But we were working Texas, and this is like 10 years ago. It could have been longer. And I said, Joey, man, you mind not being so dirty, And the reason why I said that, and I told you, we talked about it.
Yeah.
Because I didn't have the balls, man, to follow him. I couldn't follow Joey. Joey was just like a beast. And then I used to try to go up there, and one time I just couldn't do it. And then that's the only time, and I felt like such a scumbag asking you that years later we're at a club, and and I called him over and I say, hey Joey, do you remember like about 8 years ago? And man, I apologize for that. I never forgot it. And it bothered me forever because I don't do that. I don't do that to anybody, man. You know what I mean? Like, hey, don't do that bit. I don't give a fuck. But Joey, come on. But I know you've heard that. Okay, I had the balls to be honest with you and confront you and apologize. But come on, bro. You know a lot of comics have told you that. That said, that if they were gonna follow you or whatever, they would say. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm the only one. But I'm sure you've had other guys go, hey, Joey, can you tone it down a little bit?
A couple of guys do it.
See?
And I got to be honest with you. Let me be honest with you. Between you and me, as brothers, I don't remember. I was probably in a cocaine haze. I don't remember you telling me, but I wasn't. You come up to me 15 times and go, be clean.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be clean.
Yeah, no, why you?
I'm going to tame it down for you a little bit. You're my brother.
Yeah.
There's been a couple people have done it to me, and I've lost all respect for them.
No, I get it, bro.
Because they weren't, and then the most guy was Rocky Laporte.
Oh.
Rocky Laporte, I worked with him at the Dallas Improv and one time in Rascals. And it was just every time I came in the next night, somebody pulled me aside and said, hey, he don't want you to improvise.
Oh.
Hey, he don't want you to curse.
Yeah.
Hey, he doesn't want you to. It was a horror week till I finally had to go up to him and go, let's switch checks.
You told me?
Yeah, let's switch checks. What are you talking about? Let's switch checks, bro. Because you don't deserve the check you get.
All right.
How much do you guys think about that? Because you're trying to make money. You're doing it as a career. So part of you has to make the audience, has to do something that the audience will like. But you also can't only, I'm assuming you can't only do something to pander to them, because if, let's say, Joey, if you were
the first time you pander in this business, you lost. It's over for you.
Okay.
The first time you pander in this business, it's over for you. I was watching something the other night. The fuck was I watching? Oh, I was reading Sam Kinnison's book on the plane, Brother Sam, where he went after, he did Saturday Night Live, he was doing the thing, he went to the rehearsal, he did 2 jokes, they called him in the room, And they said, don't do those 2 jokes. And he said, okay. And when he walked out, his brother goes, you're not going to do them? He goes, fuck them. And he did the 2 jokes. They banned him for life. Tortikov stuck up for him, took the ban out, and made him the host of Saturday Night Live 2 months later. The most interesting story I heard, Kevin Fitzgerald. Yeah. Kevin Fitzgerald in Denver, the veterinarian, was on stage one night doing a fucking joke about marijuana. And when he got off, a guy came up to him and said, Mr. Hicks doesn't want you doing that joke tomorrow night. Tomorrow night came. He did it. Mr. Hicks signed him up and took him on the road for 2 years. That's a true story. You follow me? Any comic knows. I've lost work, I've lost work over it, whatever. I wasn't designed to be there, so it's fine. That's how I look at it in my mind. One thing I want to touch to Willie about, I've always loved you, Willie, and I love you dearly. I'm very lonely out here at times, but I'm lonely for men. I'm lonely for, I got Lee under my wing now, so he'll make it, but Lee knows what I'm talking about. I'm short of, in L.A. in the comedy scene, we have a shortness of men. We have comics, we have male comedians who are hysterical, and then when you see them, they act like cunts at the comedy clubs because they probably got a special or whatever. But in this field, we have a shortness of men because a real man wouldn't work in comedy. And you're looking at me going, Joey, but Bill Burr, and men who look at each other and what they say they mean, and what they mean they say, and when they come to you and they talk to you, as a man, you have to respect them because that's how they talk to you. We're in a business that's, it's very faggy, it's very fucking hypocritical. The people that you comics love, oh my God, they're a bunch of fucking hypocrites and they don't have balls. They've lost their balls. When I see a comic I knew 10 years ago and he has a little success and he won't talk to me now, he lost his balls. I threaten his fucking well-being. That's what you're telling me. Guess what I'm going to do now? I'm going to fuck with you. My natural instincts are going to fuck with you. Because you're threatened by you understand me? You're too worried about your money. We were friends. We drove to open mics together. Right? You ever have guys you drove to open mics together, and all of a sudden they get a TV show and you see them and they don't look at you? Yeah. You threaten them as a human being. One thing about Willie, I can name 3 comics. Out of all the fucking assholes you guys watch, I can name Willie and maybe one other guy that were men. When I say men, and for years while I was here, I wasn't a man because the cocaine had taken my balls away. Because God forbid I would make a stink and not be able to go home and smell cocaine. But after Marilyn died, before she died, I had a long talk with myself and I got my balls back. And part of the thing that got me through the cocaine, Willie, you know how bad I was, was that I had to become a man again. And the first night I became a man was when I went to the Comedy Store and I went after Jeff Valdez. That was my night to make a manhood comeback. That was and a lot of people were mad at me for that. A lot of people won't do business with me for that. A lot of people have taken me off the charts. Neil didn't like me. That's why when Montoya called me again, I don't want to do nothing for him because Neil didn't like me because of that. Fuck you. I don't want to do business with you either, you fucking cunt. Right. I don't want to do business with you either. I was sticking up for a friend. Right. I was sticking up for a friend, and I was sticking up for, in my cultural thing, that he had insulted us. When a Jew comes to me and says he wants to help me, I'm not insulting you, Lee. I'm just talking about a general manager or a general agent. When an Irish guy, so nobody gets insulted, when an Irish guy comes to me and he says he wants to do something, and I'm using this on the other side also, Lee, if a Cuban guy comes to you and proposes a deal to you and the deal goes sour, it's sour. But when a Jew comes to you and fucks you in the ass, it hurts a little more. Okay? It hurts.
Why?
Because he's a fucking Jew, and you're supposed to be brothers. He's supposed to be looking out for you. When I went after Jeff Valdez, I felt he wasn't looking out after us. He wasn't looking out after us. We never really had a voice. Every time a Latin comic gets a little bit of a voice, they lose it. Because God forbid something happens to them. They forget who the fuck they are. And I was sick and tired of it. Yeah. Somebody had to say something to this motherfucker. And I saw him at the church. And I would kill him at the church. But my Catholicism was too strong. I got in my car. I was going to karate. And Kempo karate. I went to Kempo.
Hey, I went with you. I saw you at a class there.
See? So I was Taekwondo on Sunset. With his son. This is how long ago this was. One thing I've always admired about you, Willie, that unlike the rest of these fucking cunts in this comedy game, You've always been a man. You stuck to your word, what you feel you believe. I mean, let's get it out of the way. You told fucking Mitzi Shore, hey, what the fuck, look at me, and you were banned from the comedy.
Yeah.
Let's say, everybody knows, Willie. We'll talk about it on here.
Yeah.
You've always fought for yourself. You know that you've always had to stick up for yourself. Like me, I don't have a voice.
Yeah.
You know, the podcast has done well, and the jokes, and people come to the shows now. But as far as, everything I've gotten, I've had a fucking claw. In this town, if and I'm just using his name. Let's say Judah Freeland. Judah Freeland that gets the longest yard. They got billboards. People taking them out to dinner. The agents. Nobody did nothing. And I got that movie from scratch. I went in my coked up mind. I put a helmet on and a fucking football uniform that was 2 sizes too small. I used American ingenuity. Something that these fucking cunts don't respect anymore because nobody does that shit. I went to Vermont 2 years ago. I was going to Kung Fu with the black guys. And it was a homeless area. And a lot of homeless people live there. Yeah. And as I got out of the car and I was walking to Kung Fu, I looked at the corner where a homeless guy used to live. He used to have his pictures there of his family. I'm not trying to be funny. Yeah. In the corner, there was a Subway sandwich pointed upward. It was a 12-inch, but it was a 6-inch. And I looked at it and I go, bro, he's ballsy with all these homeless people there. But if you look close, there was a little piece of shit in front of the sandwich. He had taken a piece of shit in front of the sandwich. That's American ingenuity, bro. That's American ingenuity. You understand me? That's what you need to do to survive in this world. Yeah. That's what a lot of people do not have. They don't have that thought that, you know what? Willie doesn't want to see me for a movie. Guess what? I'm better than Willie. I'm going to fucking show him. Yeah. And I put they told me they wanted to see star names. We got Tony Saragusa and Big Pussy. You know what? They're actors. Yeah. I'm funny. I've done halftime of a Buffalo Sabre game. I've earned my right. I followed Paul Mooney for fucking 2 years. Right. I've earned who the fuck I am. And I believed in what I believed in, and I got it. That's ingenuity. You know what I'm saying?
It's balls, man. And I think who would want to hear this is any young comics thinking of coming to LA or New York. You gotta have, and when we say, and I know what, and I think some people misinterpret what you say, balls, because balls, any monkey can have balls. They're all in jail. We're talking about mental balls. Mental balls. The balls that what keeps you getting up in the morning and saying, fuck it, today it's going to get better. Today, I'm going to write a better bit.
How many motherfuckers you see in L.A. that was stars, Willie? Yeah. That went to Montreal and got $6 million. And Variety wrote an article about them. They're gone, dog. Yeah. I remember one kid came here. He had to follow Dice one night at the store. You could hear the crack. His managers were there. You know when the managers show up? Yeah. When 4 guys show up? Oh, my God. It's so exciting. Right. And your client fucking dies. That motherfucker walked. He was one of those good-looking dudes that comes to town with 6 minutes, and they give him $500,000. Then they got him up at the store, and by mistake, because you don't bring those little faggots to the fucking store. You bring those little fruitcakes to the Improv or the Laugh Factory. You don't bring those fucking faggots to the store. They put that little motherfucker behind Dice. You could hear his spine cracking from the fucking 20 feet away. You know, that's the fucking store. You know, but it's you're right. It's mental balls. It's when I wake up in the morning. It's whatever I write when I get up. When I go in the shower and I'm like, I don't want to go to the store tonight. Yeah. Willie's fucking the podcast. Fuck that. I got the biggest dick in this fucking room. You know what I'm saying? That's mental balls. I slept in a car, Willie. My car got towed. My apartment got towed. And then I would sneak in and take shits and showers at Ralphie May's house. Or Josh Wool's house, or, you know, What kept you out here, Willie? What kept you getting up every morning, Willie?
Man, I grew up poor, bro. I mean, I guess, and for me, you know, I've heard. Okay, I saw a good interview with Sugar Ray Leonard, and they asked Sugar Ray Leonard, "Hey, how come none of your kids boxed? You know, how come you didn't? Would you like any of your kids to have been boxers?" And he goes, "No, man." And he said, "You know why? Because to be a boxer, you got to be hungry. You gotta know a hunger that regular people don't know about." And you and me, I mean, when I was a kid, man, I was born in Mexico, bro. You're right. We came here when I was 5. I used to slang oranges in East LA when I know what it is to go to bed hungry. You know what I mean? And I just don't want to be hungry, man. I don't want to be like that hunger when you're a kid. And I think that hunger in your belly, it gives you mental balls not to quit, you know. And it's funny because I have 2 teenage sons and they're baseball guys. I want them to have that hunger. They can't have that hunger that I had, but they can have a little bit of it. Do you know what I mean, bro? Like, come on, man. No one's gonna give you shit, bro. You gotta go get it yourself. They're like, Dad, can I get $20 for gas? You know what I mean? I mean, they're still tough. They still have, but not that fucking hunger, bro. Where you hear like that, the things that make us come from nothing. That's what keeps me.
How was your father, Willie?
No, well, my mom left him when I was 6. 5, 6.
Have you seen him?
No, he died, man.
So,
he died. So I just grew up with a mom in L.A.
And a single tough mom.
Yeah, single. Yeah, she's
man.
She's fucking crazy.
She's
bro.
still
I remember,
yeah.
I remember getting my ass kicked when I was 12, and I had a little Asian friend, and he went and we were like 2 blocks from my house, and he ran over there and he told my mom, "Hey, they're beating up your son," and she told his name was Simon Lee, and she told Simon, well, tell them to hurry up and kick his ass because I got to be at work in a half hour. So he ran back and said, Willie's mom said to hurry up so he can get home. And those motherfuckers kept me there like another, however long it was, long enough for her to walk down. And she slapped all these little motherfuckers around and then slapped me around. And she goes, motherfucker. She's yelling at them, hey, didn't I tell you to hurry up and kick his ass? And she grabbed me by my hair and fucking pushing me home, And, hey, didn't worry about whether I won, whether I lost, no, hey, I told him to let you go and fucking, I got to go to work. So that's the kind of mom
The reason why I asked you about your father is one thing I know about you. You're a great comic, but you're also a great father.
I think that comes from not having a dad,
That's
bro.
why I knew something was fucking up.
Because
I told everybody. I remember telling people, when I was a kid, Mr. Vanacek was the father in my neighborhood. He was a big father. And whenever you saw Mr. Vanacek and his son Richie, the guy I hung out with, it was tremendous. Like Richie would have to stand straight, hands on. I'm not kidding you. Hands on the side. You couldn't talk unless you were spoken to. And the first time I met your boys, they were.
Oh yeah, they were like 10 and 8. They were jujitsu. You saw them for jujitsu. You took them to Ninth Planet with Eddie.
10th Planet with Eddie Bravo.
The 10th Planet. Yeah.
And I knew him even before that. But the first time I saw them, they were both at attention. And when I walked up to Willie and hugged them, Willie said, "This is Mr. Diaz." Shake their hand. And in Spanish, that's big. When your mother says, da la mano. Da la mano como un hombre. That's how moms treat you. Da la mano. No hay abrazo. Give them your hand. And they both put their hand up. They were like quiet, and they both looked at me. Hi, Mr. Diaz. And I left there fucking impressed as fuck. I was like, fucking Willie's a great comic. But he's a great dad because Willie knows. Willie knows you got to stay on top of your fucking kids.
You got to be respectful, man.
You got to be respectful.
Respect goes along. Respectful, gratitude. Your word. I mean, it sounds corny. Scarface said it years ago, and it might sound corny, but people that grew up in the hood, where they actually know like people that died or have cousins that have died or been killed, and or you know what I mean. That you just being an honest dude can keep you from any of that shit. Just, you know what I mean? Just, I know guys that have done drugs forever, but they know, okay, I bought this much drugs, I got to pay that motherfucker back. And those are the ones that are still alive 25, 30 years later. The guys that died, that we know that got they murdered, it was like, well, what happened? I mean, he owed them $30. Right? He owed that guy $10. So I tell my that and that relates to now with my kids. It's funny, man. I got kicked out of the punchlines forever. They don't let me back, bro. All right, and I was there for a long time. I was there at the punchlines. I was at the Sacramento one. I was at the what's that? The other one in San Francisco. Like I was welcomed, man. And then 3 years ago, I was working on New Year's with a comedian named Al Madrigal, right? And he was we were co-headlining, but he went on first, right? And then I went on after. And they had it was New Year's, right? We're co-headlining. So he had a DJ. There was a DJ on the side because when it was New Year's, the DJ was gonna play music, right? So there's this little kid, man. The kid had to be like between 19 and 21 years old, the DJ. And you could tell the kid was just so happy to be there. The place was packed. And Al Madrigal gets up there and he goes, "Hey man, before I start this comedy, he called him you. He didn't say like, hey bro, nothing. So you have to leave." And I could see the kid's head, like his smile went away, and he goes, "You have to get out." And then the kid's like confused, and he goes, and I'm telling everybody here right now, and he got in this high horse. I was like, what the fuck, bro? I thought you were, one of the people, like a regular dude. He goes, "I want you. I will not start this." And then he goes, "Just want everybody here to know that I will not start this show until you leave. You have to leave, then I'll start." So I'm back there with my wife. Me and my wife, I was trying to get her back at the time. We had all those problems. And I looked and I said, "You see what I mean?" Because El Madrigal is Mexican, right? But he grew up very rich and proper and doesn't know anything about the hood, right? And I get it. Not everybody has to be from the hood. But I told my wife, and one of the reasons me and my wife had broken up was because she wanted them just on the west side of like the schools, and she had Willie playing violin on this side, and the other one was playing piano, and I would take them to boxing in South Central, man. You know what I mean? And my wife was like, "You're crazy. I don't like the way you're raising the boys." And I says, "I don't want them to be socially retarded, man. You know what I mean? I don't want them to be I want them to be able to hang out with the white guys, the Jewish guys over here. How you doing? To be able to articulate. But at the same time, if they're, with some homies, they don't act like they're fucking lost. They're like, hey, what's up, bro?" They get two educations. Yeah. It's two educations. I wanted both. And they have both, man. Because I've seen it. I've seen them around homies, and they don't drop. They're the same way, same love, same hug. Same way they'll talk to, a Jeffrey. You know what I mean? For whatever. I'm just saying, not that all guys are named Jeffrey. I hate to be fucking stereotypical like that. But and then, so I told my wife, I go, "You see what I'm talking about? See on that comedian, he only saw one side of the street, man. Look how bad, look at the kid." Because the kid was standing like 20 feet from us. So I go on stage after he did his hour. I go on stage and I go, "Hey kid, come back up here. Come on, what's your favorite record, man? What the fuck do you like to play? And play your favorite record, and I'm going to sit here and bring me a beer. Because while you're playing your favorite record, I'm going to sip on my beer. Because if anybody has ever been to a Mexican wedding or a quinceañera, the DJ is always by the stage." And the crowd went fucking nuts, man, right? They're fucking, yeah, because I brought the kid back. And then I have the microphone, and I'm talking to my wife back there, and I go, "Hey, babe, honey, you see what I'm talking about? I don't want my kids to grow up socially retarded, man." And then El Madrigal got the mic from the back. And he goes, "Who's socially retarded?" He goes, "I think you're retarded." And he goes, "Hey, bro." I go, "Listen, man." And in my head, I was thinking, I wasn't even thinking of him. I was thinking of my relationship with my wife. You see? And it was kind of collateral damage. And I was going to apologize to him afterwards. And I did. When it was all said and done, I get it. He turned off the mic on me. He did but the audience still loved me, bro. You know what I mean? I was hitting him, bro. So I was done, and I went back there, and I said, "Hey, Maldred, can we talk?" And we talked like men, right? Like you say, bro. And this has happened to me a lot with these fucking assholes in Hollywood. They're so fucking phony. I said, "Al, look in my eyes. I'm apologizing to you, bro. There's a lot of things going on. At the time, my wife was leaving me, man. I go, but I didn't have the time to explain to him the whole fucking story. I just had time to say, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Completely out of line, man. Can we shake hands?" And he goes, "Willie, the fact that you're apologizing and this and that, that means a lot to me, man." And I go, "Well, the fact that you accept my apology means a lot to me, man." So we shook hands, really nice. I felt forgiven, bro. I felt forgiven. I felt forgiven. And then 3 days later, I get a call from my agent. "They never want you at the punchlines again because El Madrigal said that you threatened him." And I go, "We shook hands. We hugged." That motherfucker, bro. But you know what? I don't hold grudges because I used to. Let it be. You've seen me in action one day. I had another problem with another comic in front of you. I went up to the guy and I said, "Hey, bro." I've seen that. You put your hand out like a man. I said, "Hey, man." He said, "I don't want to shake your hand." Okay, go fuck yourself then. Now, if the world is ending and you're next to me, I'm going to punch you in the fucking head again. Just out of principle. No, dog, I have a big problem with a lot of comedians. Yeah. I have a big problem. Their attitudes, they think like they walk on water, and we all put our pants on one leg at a time. And I have the same problem on sets. And I've straightened people out on sets, too. I've taken, I go on sets, there's no food. I pay fucking
$2,000 a year to SAG for fucking. You better bring some fucking food here. You know, I don't give a fuck. Where's the apples, bitch? I go there on a Sunday. You got crackers and apple juice. That don't cut it. So I've made scenes, and people don't want to hire me. And I haven't made scenes. I've tried to talk to people as a man, because that's how I was raised. Can I talk to you for a second, Lee? Come over here. Well, you got to get it together. Whatever. No. You know, in this town, it gets flipped around.
You know what, man? I think what makes a lot of these guys such weasels, man. I think a lot of them do show up to LA as solid guys.
Yes,
but
yes. They sell their soul.
But I think
they sell their soul.
The game, the managers and the agents, and they start realizing, hey, fuck, if I don't get ahead of that guy somehow, some way, I'm not gonna make it. You know? So they start being sneaky, and I think what it does is it starts watering itself, and then before you know it, it's
just your lifestyle. You're just a
fucking asshole.
You're just a fucking you know. And I'm to the point in my life where I could look at somebody and go, look at that fucking fake motherfucker, and I'll play him out too. Whatever, I'll wait for him to, you know. And you know, whenever you go to auditions, you always see people, Joey Diaz, oh my God, you're so fucking funny. Yeah, but you book a room, you never call me. And they look at you. Oh, but get the fuck away from me. Go over there.
Do you guys think it's money? Because it's not every rich person, but some of the worst tips I ever got as a server were from people with a black card, the American Express black card. They have to spend $100,000 a year on, and I got stiffed by one of them. And it's not all of them, because there are some great rich people who tip well, but to me, in my experience working retail, the richer they are, the more rude they are, or they don't tip as well.
They're entitled.
Go read that book, asshole.
They're entitled.
How
many times I go somewhere the other day and there's a lady with the fucking with the Land Rover, with the yoga tights, and giving orders at the coffee shop. Giving orders. Like, take this off the thing, and then the girl said something. The cute redhead said, Marie T said something. She goes, no, we don't do that here. Well, all right, get the fuck out. You know, and I look at her and I go, you know whose fault that is? The husband. Because the husband knows she's a fucking cunt, and he sicks her out in society with that fucking Land Rover and those things instead of making that fucking cunt get a job. You know, I see it. I go to the park every afternoon. I got an 18-month-old. Let me tell you something. Half that park in Studio City is Mexican fucking maids with their kids. Let me tell you something. My mother was a fucking drug addict. My mother owned a bar. She drank. She ran a bookie operation. She always had time to take me to the fucking park. Okay? She always had time to take me to go see the Harlem Globetrotters. My mom would make me fucking fight at the park like Wiz. I have a single mom. I got beat up. My mom took me to the park. What are you doing in your life that's so spectacular that you can't take your child to the fucking park? What do you do?
What do you do? That's the bullshit.
Hang out with your friends and play fucking cards? Now, don't come crying to me when you're like, you go to the park? I go to the park, and today I was telling my wife, I could pick out the faggots in the park. I could pick out the kids that are going to be faggots. You can see them. There's one kid that was there today with green socks that every time they go to he's 6 with a cell phone. With a cell phone, calling people at the park.
And you don't mean gay, I don't think. I think you mean like a jerk.
Half of them, I seen 2 today that fucking same-sex marriage is in their future. They were playing on the swing. Those 2 little faggots, they were like 6. You could tell they're fucking going to be sucking each other's dicks. You could see. You don't need a fucking genius. Those other kids that are walking around there with those Mexican parents, they're probably having a good time.
But you know what? I got to defend the I'm gonna tell you something. In the last 10 years, I've had a rebirth.
Yes, you have.
And not in the Jesus Christian way, bro. Just as a
you read a book. You read a couple books.
Read a couple. I got my head out of my ass. But you know, it's funny. And I know what you're trying to say, Lee, because we know Joey, right? And as far as it was these faggots and this and that, I remember, bro, going back in my life, literally, a lot of the guys, man. And if I'm true to myself, I would have never said this 10 years ago, man. But some of the guys that gave me the most beautiful life lessons, man, about life were homosexual.
No, and they gave me lessons too about life. I know
you're not like that, but I can see somebody not understanding.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying it like that.
You're just fucking around.
I'm seeing these fucking kids, and you could tell they're gonna get their lunch money taken. You could tell I could tell their future. Just by the way they're acting at 5.
Raised entitled.
They're raised entitled.
Yeah.
Listen, bro, I was raised to take those kids' fucking lunch money. even though my family had money, just for being weak. Just for acting like that, like you got to shake them down.
They're gonna be weasels. They're gonna
be fucking weak.
They're gonna be agents. They're gonna be agents.
And you look at these kids, and you can see what their problem, and their moms aren't at the park, the dads. Then they look at my daughter, who's got both her mom, because I go with my wife every day to the fucking park for 2 hours. I'm like, Willie, I know that either you could pay me now, or you could pay me later. If you don't take care of your kid now, you're gonna have problems later. I have a friend, Steve Arilla's got 2 daughters, never gave him a problem. Steve does everything with those girls. He does everything with those girls. You know, I know when I became bad, those 2 hours that my mom wouldn't come from the bar from 3 to 5,
right.
You can't give a kid those 2 hours from 3 to 5. Willie didn't give those kids to. He sat there while they did homework, then they took them to do activities. There's things you have to do with your children. And the point that I'm saying to you is that a lot of comics, we go on the road.
Yeah.
We do fucked up shit on the road. We get our dick sucked, whatever. We get a chick pregnant, whatever the fuck. And if you look at, there's got to be a 40% rate of divorce in comedians because of that week. We leave for the week and stuff.
It's hard, man. It's fucking hard. For
you
young comics out there that are saying, man, I can't wait to be on the road. If you're an open micer right now and you're saying things like, man, I can't wait to get on the road, I'm going to tell you something. Man, you do not find out who you are, especially when you're a young comic, you're a young person, and you're working somewhere a week by yourself. And all those people that come say hi to you and everything, there's no real connection. Like, there's no foundation, you know what I mean? Somebody that you've known for a long time. So talk about all that loneliness that starts kicking in, right, bro? Like, when you're a young comic, when you're older, you're fucking, wait a minute. Hey, babe, yeah, hold on. I'm reading this book. I'll call you back. Or I got to go do this. But when you're young, man, I remember I was like, I didn't know what to do with myself, man. I was out there, I was like twiddling my thumbs in the fucking in the condos that they put you up, and you just fucking start thinking crazy shit. Like, is this it? What's gonna happen in my life? What if I don't make it? You start thinking all kinds of crazy, psychotic shit. But
it's a weird life. No, Willie, I wanted to get you on the show because out of all the comics I'm out there with, you're one of the ones that I always like. I said, when I saw that Showtime special, I taped it. It was coming on, and one day I said, listen, Willie, and you got to believe this about me. When I see somebody, before I leave the house at night, I always check Leno, Letterman, and somebody else, Craig Ferguson, just to see who's on. The other night I left and Maj Jabrani was on. I got to tell you something from my heart as a comedian. Even if I don't like you as a human being, when I see that you're on a TV show, Kimmel, I watch you.
Right.
And I want you to make me laugh. I sit there, like you say, and I distance myself as a comedian, and I can't wait for somebody to make me laugh. Those Montoya specials, you put them on, the fucking one with, who's Tom Arnold? He's up there talking. You could tell they're not laughing. You hear all this laughter, and everybody's sitting still. Okay? Nobody's banging their legs. No, I don't want to see that shit. When I put Willie's special on one night, it was like a Sunday night, 10:30. I was going through my DVR. Ooh, Willie Barcena. The first 8 minutes, I was blown away. Like the material, the tags. I don't know what the fuck he was saying. Who knows? I was so excited. Every night I go home and they have this fucking shit on Showtime. The other one, the Punch Drunk, the one they shoot at the at the Ice House. You're waiting. You want to laugh. I don't care who the fuck it is. There was somebody on, a friend of ours that was on. I watched. He had a half-hour special. I watched Spanish Kid. The first joke he did was so bad I had to turn it off. First joke, I had to turn it off. With you, I had to turn it off because I was tired. Because when I get an hour special, if it's really good, I break it in half so I can think about it.
Right.
I had to watch yours 3 fucking times, and then I called you. You remember I called you. And I said, I'm not bullshitting you. I watched it. I wish in my 20 years I could write as good as this kid.
What's the name of it? Because people want to watch it.
I Gotta Be Honest is the one.
Okay.
And Truth Hurts is the other.
Okay.
That's all. And I couldn't tell which one they're on. Watch both of them.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? If you're an up-and-coming comic, watch it. If you're some guy at home, sitting at home, thinking, oh, my God, Louis C.K. is so funny, all these fucking strokes are so funny, watch Willie Barcena.
Well, it's. I got to be honest. I got one, that's the latest one. Deal With It was like 4 years ago. Deal With It 4 or 5 years ago with Comedy Central. The ones Joey's talking about is I got to be honest, The Truth Hurts. is we just shot this about 4 months ago in Texas. So that they're working on right now. They're putting that one together. But no, man, I appreciate that, Joey. I mean, I don't know if you remember what you told me, bro, but you go, Willie, hey, Willie, cocksucker, I saw your special. He goes, if you were white, you'd be famous.
You know, it was the jokes, the timing, the tags, the smile on your face, the delivery. And now I see it. Now you just told us the secrets. It's a tape recorder.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It really is a tape recorder.
Oh, man.
Lee, you got a new job, cocksucker.
Yeah.
Tape recorder tomorrow morning.
How often do you think about that? Because Joey told you before we started that I'm dating a Mexican girl, and every once in a while she'll say something where it's like right now she's doing interviews for law firms.
Okay.
And she's finding it harder being Mexican, and some people are just bringing her in because they have affirmative action stuff, and then she doesn't complain, but it seems to be on her mind.
Yeah.
How often is that? Like, does it?
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. I know exactly. You know, listen, it's been a battle for me. I'm sure for Joey too, having because you listen to Joey, and you can listen to him, 20 hours, and he doesn't have to say anything reference to Latinos. He's just a human being, man. And I know that he's, that I'm sure that it's come to like a hurdle, where he's like, hey man, don't forget the Diaz, man. Just think about who I am as a person. That's the hurdle that I have, because I'm a lot darker than Joey, man. You know what I mean? You could put me out there and I'll get lost in fucking East LA as like, where's Waldo as far as like the illegals, right? But for me, being a guy that I want to write, being a guy that loves Lenny Bruce, Richard Pryor, Bill Hicks, and those, and George Carlin, those are the guys that I love. Those Hispanic guys that are out there, I think they're cute. I think their comedy's cute. You know what I mean? And I don't want to be disrespectful, but it's cute, man. It doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't like, oh fuck yeah, man. I remember that shit. I remember when, like when I wrote about my wife leaving me, man. I made that shit, and I was fucking hurting the day she actually had happened, but I fucking made it funny, Well,
that's the magic of a comedian. That's what a comedian does. He could take a fucking story about 20 Puerto Ricans getting shot, and you should be laughing. You take your pain and you flip it. A good comedian like Willie, not unlike me.
No, you're Willie. Great. You're fucking great,
okay,
Joey.
You get laughter, but no. I'm gonna give you the comparisons. When I saw Richard Jeni, I learned something from Richard Jeni. Let me tell you what I learned from Richard Jeni. That when most comics are on stage and a waitress comes, you go, hey, hi, let me get a Jack and Coke, Willie, let me get a beer, and you're looking good tonight. When Richard Jeni used to be on stage, and I used to watch him, people go, let me get a tequila on the rocks. They wouldn't take their eyes off him, okay? Right. I make you laugh. Listen, hold on, I make you laugh. That's something completely different. A good comic, like that special that I saw that night, you made me laugh and you made me think. You have to resonate. You're right. I want you to remind me of something that hits home. I don't talk Latin shit on stage because I don't live a Latin lifestyle. It's in my heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I wake up in the morning, I remember who the fuck I am. It's in my fucking heart. Right. After 15, my Latin connection was disappeared. My world shattered when my mother died. But I always kept speaking Spanish. Right. I always knew I always kept it. When I go to a fucking restaurant, who's the people I
the
talk
busboy?
To? Busboy. You got the busboy, you own the restaurant. You follow me? Right. If you see a busboy, you go, primo, ven acá mi mano. And he comes over, you give him a fin, and you go, keep this motherfucker hopping with bread and water. That guy feels so good that you talk to him. Most people go to a restaurant, they don't talk to the busboy. When I go to a restaurant, I talk to the busboy. Right. I know what it's like to be a busboy. I don't want to talk to the maitre d'. I have friends that sell Coke at Spagos. They're Mexicans, cooks.
Right.
And I always ask them, who was the best person who ever came into Spagos? And the guy always says Sidney Poitier. Because the first thing he does when he gets in there, he walks into the kitchen, he talks to the Mexican cooks. And they feel like fucking God. Who everybody else insults. I used to do a podcast with Felicia Michaels. And the lady who takes care of the house, Juana, is a Mexican woman who now takes care of my little daughter 3 days a week. And I became friends with Juana because I always made sure I said hello to Juana, because I'd see how people treated Juana. 10 people would walk into Felicia's house and wouldn't say hello to Juana. Right. That's my Spanish side. I know what it's like when I came off that plane from Cuba. I know what it was like to feel insecure. I know what it was like to sit in the back of that class, in a Jewish classroom in 2 PS 166. But I wasn't mad at them. I could look you in the eye, Willie, and I could look you in the eye and tell you that nothing's ever been shorter for me from being Spanish. Right. It's being shorter for me from my own shortcomings. Because I'm dirty, because I threatened Jeff Valdez, because I did coke. Right. The things that got, and the same thing got taken away from you because of stupidity, because you stood up for who you were. Right. We had a very interesting conversation here Monday. Lee went to the movie theater, and some dude was fucking with popcorn, and Lee wanted to say something, and he didn't have the heart to say it. I go, Lee, your life doesn't start till you stick up for yourself, in more ways than one.
Yeah, man.
You know, we're family. We're all family. Yeah. We fuck around, but I'm talking about a stranger. You don't have to be a gorilla. No. You have to have balls mentally. Like he said, I don't even have balls mentally. I'm a gorilla. Today some guy cut me off and then started doing 20 miles an hour. I called him at the light and I called him a bald-headed fucking cocksucker faggot. And he just looked at me stone-faced because nobody talks to him like that. Right. I don't have the time. You're going to cut me off like a douchebag and then get in front of me and be more of a douchebag? The hurdles I've had in life is I created on my own. You know, after I did The Longest Shot, I did a great job in The Longest Shot. But one producer didn't fucking like me. Until this day, because I called them out on the set. They fucking around. People can't take that shit. In this town, people aren't like me and Willie. You come to me and go, Joe, I need to talk to you about something. The other day you called me a Jew and I didn't really like it. I go, Lee, what the fuck? And I'll go home and I'll think about it. The other day I said fat. Did I not tell you that it bothered you? You go, no, we're talking about getting things like, what are we going to look like, 2 fat astronauts? It's when the guy on Facebook called you fat. You know, some guy this morning said, hey, fat ass, you're typing a lot today. I'm surprised you have cardio. I wrote back, do I know you? Do I know you for you to talk to me like that? Go fuck your grandfather, you fucking. And he fucking flipped out. People don't understand that. So it's okay if you insult me, but right away. So tonight when I was thinking about Willie, I go, he's got the 2 guys that'll tell you in this life you have to stick up for yourself. Not like a gorilla. You're a sweetheart of a guy. But if you come and tell somebody the truth, if they get mad at you, I don't want to do business with them. If I come tell you, like, I don't know. Like if somebody comes to you in this town, if somebody tells you the truth, they'll cut you off. A guy like me will go home, think about it. And
the truth is different in Hollywood. That's why I fucked up so much.
Me too.
Because I thought the truth was like the way we were raised.
That's how we were raised.
With the truth, with plumbers and cops and firemen and drug dealers, and the truth kept everybody alive, right? And kept everybody cool. But then when you get into Hollywood, the truth is fucking foggy, bro. You know, the truth here means bullshit. And if you're able to it's like somebody said about a comedian that just a weasel of a comedian, and then we were talking one time and said, how did that guy get so much? And then another guy said, that guy was able to master unsincerity. Do you know what I mean? If you're able to and I mean, it is what it is, man. You know,
it's the only time plastic surgery looks terrible on people. Terrible. It's like putting a wig on. I know you got a wig on. You're not shocking me, but they all get plastic surgery and tell themselves they look beautiful. In 10 years, this whole town, to make it, you're going to have plastic surgery. You're going to have something done to be part of their clique.
Oh, it's getting hard, man. It's getting hard think about how back in the day, you went and you studied acting, or you studied to be a comedian or a singer. Now, hey, man, who can sell his soul the hardest? Oh, The Bachelor. I'll fuck every guy, Bachelorette, right? I'll fuck every guy in there, and I'm good looking, and you guys can write gossip about it, and I'm a star. Or the Kardashians, right? Look, man, no fucking talent. Like, not one sings, dances, tells jokes, poetry, fucking nothing, bro. And they fucking own the fucking studios, the E. And I'm like, oh man, you imagine how many actors are out there fucking eating out of a fucking top ramen? You know what I mean? And why? Because it's bullshit, man. I remember, bro, I did that show, Chelsea Lately. All right, I don't know if you're friends with her, bro, but I did the show with her, man, and they gave me they go, okay, what are you gonna talk about? And I had like 20 jokes, right? Like the topics, not jokes. I had the bullet points. And then they go, oh, no, she's not going to like that. She's not going to like that. She's not going to like that. I was down to like 3 jokes, and it made me look like a cute beaner. You know? Like I was a cute, like that beaner that is, you know what I mean? That can come over. The non-threatening beaner, you know what I mean? And then, so I come out on panel, right? You know, they do that bullshit. She comes out, man, fucking my pussy hair, and she's talking dirty and cussing. And I'm looking like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? And then, in the middle of the show, the girl next to me says something racist to me, right? It wasn't even fucking funny. I appreciate a fucking funny joke, but then I got her back quick, you know? And then, so the audience is dying. Which I was saying, Chelsea Handler lately, she looked over and she's like, what's so funny? And then I had just gotten her back. Anyways, you know, it was just such a fucking, I don't know if you've done it, Joey, but it's bizarre. She didn't want me on there. It was a bizarre fucking show, bro. I mean, she says jokes that aren't fucking jokes, but then the audience, like, they tell them, come on, like, laugh. And they'll laugh, man. I'm not, it was surreal. I was sitting there going, what the fuck am I in? So I remember leaving, man. I couldn't get out of that fucking place fast enough, right? And one of her assistants is holding a basket, you know, like a gift basket, you know. Hey, what does he say? Use your basket. I said, keep it. He goes, well, what if it has $1 million? I said, then you're a millionaire. You know, but I just kept going, man. But when we're talking about bullshit and shit that's not funny, do you know what I mean?
And you fucking idiots are at home, giggling, laughing, having a good time. My brother called me. He's like, dog, I paid $65 to see Chelsea Handler, the show in Jersey. It was the worst thing he had ever seen in his life. They brought more bad comedy to fucking 8 o'clock than any other fucking show ever. You know, a lot of those guys, they're gonna fucking die a slow death. They're walking around thinking they're fucking George Carlin. Once that show goes under in a month, they're gonna be fucking having a hard fucking time, because you know it's a fucking shame what we put up with people.
See, we're talking.
And you guys think that, you know, it's funny that I heard me and my wife were driving back from the colonoscopy the other day, and I heard Jody Watley. Remember my love, you know, it's just some song.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting here going, now I understand the music business. There's people that are probably 20 times better than Jody Watley. They could sing and could play, but maybe that day they didn't get picked. And it's the same thing, man. There's a lot of funny people walking around in Hollywood that nobody knows about. You know, I read an article years ago. Jennifer Aniston said the best theater actors are the best, and they're starving in this fucking. We're not even really actors. They know it, and that's why I never seen The Attitude. If I knew I was a fugazi, like David Spade, like a fugazi like that hasn't said nothing funny in 18 fucking years, when I wake up in the morning, I thank God. I thank God heavy like that. Nobody has figured it out yet. And I'm making another $80,000 this week. And nothing. There's nothing fucking there, man. It's just, it's fucking craziness, Lisa. Lisa, what's the matter? You look all depressed. I call you.
No.
Sucker, you're tired.
It's just interesting to listen to.
Let me give a shout out to some people here for listening to the show. Now I know it's a late night show. We're talking some shit here tonight. Syatt Case's chef. I know you got fucking laid off today, whatever. Stay in there, cocksucker. I love you. Sajakis Chef, whatever your fucking name is. Want to give some love to Kaiva, Sean Monday, John D. Gomez, Frank the Tank, you bad motherfucker, Nate Meyer, John Guevara, McNeasy 22, Travis Ryan, and I don't know the last one, so fuck you, and that's it, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what the fuck is going on anymore. Willie, I'm happy you came on tonight.
Hey, man, Joey, thank you for having me, bro. I want to see that special, man. I think would be powerful, man. I know the people that were in the audience when I went to go see you, and the people that were the other comics that were talking about when you were working it out at the Ice House in that stage 2. Everybody was like, "Man, he's fucking got it down. He's got it." So I thought I was gonna.
That was a testable testament, and I just had all this written material, and I had to put it out there.
Right.
And I sold them for $2 on iTunes just to get it out.
Oh, you sold it?
Fuck yeah, each show. Why not?
Oh, that's badass, bro.
Why not? You know, it's just something to get out there. And I'm going to put it together, and that's great that you talked to me about helping me out.
Yeah,
because
man.
I love to do a one-man show, right here in LA to really put them over the fucking top. To really, I like doing that shit. Like we were talking, there's 2 different styles of comedy for that. You know, I'm doing. Ari's got that show now.
Yeah.
Where it's what's happening with stories, and it's popular because it's something different. They take the net off, and you just go up there and say what the fuck you gotta say. Willie, what's your Twitter?
Well, Willie Barcena. At Willie Barcena.
At Willie. And what's your Facebook?
Yeah, WILLIE. Last name B as in boy, ARCENA. And Facebook is Willie Barcena.
Where are you going to be in the next couple of weeks?
And I know I'm going to be in this on this tour.
Tommy T's.
I'm going to be at Tommy T's. I'm going to be in what else am I going to? I'm doing
what city? Because Tommy T's has a lot of
the one in Pleasanton.
Pleasanton.
I'll be in Pleasanton. I'll be in San Antonio in a couple of weeks, and I'm doing that tour with it's called Latin Comedy Jam with Mike Gotti is the producer. Yeah, just and then I got my special coming out. I'm excited about that, and I just got to give a big shout out to the guys that helped me put together my last special. I got Steve Longi, who I want you to meet him, bro. This guy he's the real deal. And this guy's if you look him up, you can see all the movies he's made in the last 10 years, and he's actually doing the Sam Kinison movie right now. They're doing it, and then. Matthew Spain, who was the investor, man. Those 2 cats, a lot of love to them, and we're gonna. Now I'm gonna talk to them about you, man, about putting you on a theater down here, man. You're a beast, bro.
A lot of people, Willie. What's killing me right now about comedy is there's a lot of Johnny-come-latelys. And I'm one of them. And one thing I always appreciate about you, we didn't talk about your 13 little permits and all that. But one thing that's going on right now is that, people have a podcast or whatever, or some people aren't popular, so people forget about them. David Tell, Wendy Liebman was on America's Got Talent tonight, they're older comics, like you and I.
Yeah.
And, people see a comic on Chelsea lately and they spend money to go see them. But it's like you, Tell, a lot of these great comics, people just don't go see no more because they think it's not hip. Comedy is a scene that you have to be hip for them to go see you. It's not about being funny anymore. It hasn't been about being funny for 20 years. I want to go see a guy that really makes me laugh. I want to go see a guy that really puts time into his craft.
Right.
I really want to go see that. And that's a forgotten thing in this country. They rather go see a guy with 8 minutes that just won Last Comic Standing because he's popular, because he dances at the end or he sings a song at the end of his act. And you're one of those guys, bro, that really, as far as I'm concerned, they can talk about all these Latin comics. I don't even want to use the word Latin comics. And I'll tell you what, in my book, you're in the top 5. In my fucking book. I know hard work, performance, the material is just spectacular. That I sit there in awe. So I'm happy.
No, bro, I appreciate you saying that, man.
I'm happy that you're still doing it.
And I know you have listeners from all walks of life, man. And I just want to let them know that if they check out my stuff, it's not one dimensional, man. I was just in Kentucky a couple months ago, a few months back, at a club called, I forget. I was in Louisville, and it was very, very white, bro. You know what I mean? And I was there talking about maybe God. It was very, very white, and I was talking about maybe there isn't a God, and I got these white people laughing their ass off, and the owner came up to me afterwards and he says, "Willie, if I hadn't seen that, I would never believed it. A Mexican talking to white people from Kentucky that there isn't a God." Hey, bro, and they were dying, man. There was a good. So what I want to say that is to your listeners, man, that check out my work. Check out some of my stuff on YouTube, and you'll see that it's not the old burrito lowrider joke.
You bet, motherfucker. Let me get a read to these sponsors here. We got a new sponsor I want to welcome. Let me tell you what happened. I got a call from this guy, and he goes, "Hey, Joey, I heard you on the podcast one day saying you don't wear underwear. Then you go commando. Can I send you some underwear?" And I go, "Absolutely." Right. I swear to God, this is how this went down. He sent me some underwears. They came in a box, like 6 or 7 of them. I put them in a drawer. They sat there for a month, and one day I was going to jiu-jitsu. And every time I go to jiu-jitsu, I wear tiny whiteys, and they always creep up, and my nutsack falls out. So I said, I got to either get those athletic ones. And I looked, and I go, oh, my God, I got these things. And I put them on, and I got to tell you something. I wear them 3 times a week. They feel good. And I asked the guy, I was starting to talk to him, and he goes, bro, they call me undies. I'd like for you to talk about them on the podcast. I don't have much fucking do-re-mi, but I like to talk. And I go, you know what? Because you sent them American Ingenuity.
Right.
And I'll give you a pair, Lee. They'll fit you a little nice on you.
Nice.
Your nutsack. When Mama comes over with the burritos, you can show you a little fucking camouflage burrito. So, I just want to ask you guys how old you. They did a survey. Do you know that men keep their underwear for 7 years? And I started thinking about it. They're right, because I keep mine till the skin marks are visible. Once the skin marks are too visible, you see 3 or 4.
That's why you buy dark colored
Yeah,
underwear.
like 3 or 4 different car crashes. I fucking throw those things away. But the average, and what's a woman's reaction to the fucking study? It's fucking gross. I even think they're fucking gross. Don't embarrass yourselves no more when you drop your drawers. It's time you know about MeUndies.com, all right? They're fucking comfortable. They fit perfectly. They don't ride up on you. And they literally pull the moisture away from your butt sack and your nut sack to keep you cool all day long. I got mine on right now. They feel fucking tremendous. I wore one to jiu-jitsu. I came home, I took a shower, and I put another pair on because I wanted to feel good with them when I did the fucking podcast. And right now, you don't see me squirming. You don't see none of that shit. I got them on. They feel good. They're breathing. So here's the thing. They look great. Do me a favor. Go to MeUndies.com. Check out the pics of the men underwear and the women's sexy fucking thongs, all right? They're under $20 a fucking piece. Under $20 so you can buy them every fucking 7 years, all right? And in U.S. and Canada, the shipping is free. So do me a favor. Go to MeUndies.com/Joey before September 1st, and I'll give you 20% off your first order. September 1st, 20% off when you go to MeUndies.com before September 1st. All right? Deal. They guarantee you're going to be happy with them. They're going to make your balls feel good, your ass feel good. Your wife's going to love you. When you come over later, I'll give you a fucking pair.
It's a joke, but I must change my underwear at least once a day. Because there's nothing I hate worse than old underwear.
Oh, I fucking hate it. That's why I stopped. I stopped. I can't wear them with jeans. These, I tried them on with jeans last weekend. Tremendous. My nuts were in place. Sometimes when I go on stage, I do 2 shows. My socks are wet from my nut, and they smell like nutsack because the nut sweat goes right down. I can't live like that no more. So I'm wearing underwear. The other people I want to talk about is my main motherfuckers on it. On it, today I took 2 of those fucking shroom techs. I went down to Hegan's. I tell you what, I did tremendous for an hour and a half. No huffing, no fucking puffing. I rolled 1 time or 2 times. I did a bunch of drills. I sweat my ass off, but I had fucking endurance and I felt good. Do me a favor. Go to Shroom Tech. Go to onit.com. Look at the Shroom Tech Sport. Look at the Shroom Tech Immune. Look at the fucking Strong Bone. Look at the fucking protein powder. What's it called? Hemp Force protein powder. Look at the Alpha Brain. Alpha Brain comes with a fucking 100% guarantee. If you don't like them and you don't like them, you don't have to send back the fucking product 1 time. Go to onit.com. Do me a favor. See what they got. I can't give you a deal on the kettlebells and the ropes and all that shit, but I can take care of you on the supplements. Go there today. Go to the box and press.
Church.
CHURCH, cocksuckers, and start your new fucking life today. Also, as long as we're talking about fucking nutrition and underwear and looking good, naturesbox.com. Nutritionist approved snacks delivered right to your fucking house. What's that? Right to your fucking house. Sesame sticks, pistachios. I mean, I got to do another order because I haven't had them in about 3 weeks, so I'm going to get all the new shit. Go to Nature's Box. Do me that favor right now. Go over there. See what they got. I guarantee you're going to buy 5 or 6 things. Order them. You get 50 fucking % off your first order, and they get delivered to your house or to your office. What's the code word?
Joey.
Joey. Joey. Fucking naturesbox.com. Nutritionist approved. Healthy. You don't have to eat potato chips out of the fucking thing in the office. You don't have to have fucking chips all over your desk and peanuts. Jews don't eat peanuts. Number 3, naileditlife.com. The best vapor pen on the fucking market, all right? Those guys, Dave and my main man, they'll help you out. What do they got? They got answers.
Yeah, if you call them up, they'll give you answers.
They got answers. That's what I'm talking about. Customer service is 1. You go to naileditlife.com right now. You order a pen, whatever the fuck they got, you get 20% off your first order. 20% off your first order. What do they put in the box? Just mention Joey Diaz. How's that?
Yeah, just mention Joey Diaz.
Mention it, you fucking savages.
What?
That's it. We talked about On It. We talked about naturesbox.com. Tremendous snacks. Fucking price. You get 50% off your first order. We talked about Nailed It Life. If you go with them, you get 20% off your first order. And MeUndies.com, 20% before September 1st. That's how we roll, bitches. You understand me? Who the fuck do you think you're dealing with? What else?
Do you see the thing about, I forget what country it was in, but this Irish girl sucked like 20 dicks in a bar for a free drink?
Come on.
Yeah, they closed down the bar.
How come she never comes into the fucking ha for a free fucking dick?
Oh my god.
Goes to the ha and sucks 20 dicks. I met a girl at the comedy store that sucked like 18 dicks.
Oh my god.
She sucked 2 or 3 the first night, maybe 4 or 5 the second night, and then 1 the last night. And then she disappeared. She never came back. Beautiful girl, fake tits, glasses, the whole fucking thing. So they're out there, Lee.
Yeah.
In high school, there was Marathon Woman. In high school, when I was in high school, I always miss all this shit.
Yeah, me
I'm
too.
never there. In high school, some sophomore came to a buddy's house and blew 20 guys.
Jesus.
They all waited in the room drinking beer, listening to music, and this kid, Jimmy Denny, would play the guitar, and he had long hair like Jimmy Page. He thought he was Jimmy for disgusting fingers. Yeah. And he had this chick, like she would just come with him. And he would go, "You want to suck Lee's dick? Okay." And she'd suck your dick, Lee, without even talking to you. She didn't say much. I don't know if she was a half a momo. Not a bad-looking girl, not fat. Cute girl, but some girls just like to suck dick. A couple of them.
You talked a lot about like raising your kids, right? Having a daughter, you must worry about that, right?
What are you gonna do? Cut their fucking mouth off?
But I mean, sucking dick is one thing, but 20 dicks is
20 dicks. That's somebody who didn't do the work.
Right.
They didn't do the work. They didn't sit the daughter down and say, "You can't suck 20 dicks." All right, you got to suck one at a time. You want to suck 20 dicks? Do it over a month. But all in one night, that's not good for your teeth. That has to do something to your fucking enamel. You know what I'm saying? All that disgusting helmet juice. Lee, only you would read about something like that. That's a chick.
There was a video of it. I didn't like. They blurred out the video. It was like the Young Turks or something. But she did it. The bar tricked her. The bar was like, "You're gonna get a free holiday," and then at the end they named the drink a holiday. So it ended up being just a drink.
You gotta stop reading the fucking computer. Right? I love you guys, Willie. I love you. Thank you very much for coming in, brother. I love you too, cocksucker, the flying Jew.